Welcome Techies King. You have the honor of being the very first person.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. I should talk before I start the stream. I should maybe say two sentences, because I sit here quietly by myself, and then I just jump into the stream, and I haven't said a word all day. And so therefore, that's why I stumble across the first few words. It's awful. Stream back up to 45. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to mess it up. Almost certainly. Because I'm working on overlays again. And I've got some ideas for overlays that I'm going to be doing for stream. You didn't hear any music until this stream. Oh, really? Oh. 1 second. Do you not hear music right now? Any music? Should be. Is it super quiet? It's so funny you guys say that because it's exactly where we agreed to put it. And I think you guys troll me nonstop just at the beginning of streams just to mess with my head. It's too low. It's a little too loud. I can't hear you. And it works every time. Good to see you, Jones. Hello, Hannah. Hey, Supersonic. Hi, Quiz. How you doing? No vocal exercises. I should do a rubber baby buggy bumpers. You know, I slid a sheet, I slip between two slitted sheets, I sit right before I start, just so I can, you know, get things warmed up. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, that kind of thing. You got to be careful with the slit a sheet one, because that one is a little dangerous if you get that one wrong. Yeah, streamer error? No. It's audience error. You know what? I know you're not supposed to blame the audience because it's not their fault, but the you know, the if your volume isn't up and then you tell me it's too quiet, that's not my fault. That's not my fault. User error, not streamer. So just real quick, I'm just gonna I just got a DM and it's gonna bug me if I don't check it. So I'm gonna check it real fast because it's gonna make me crazy until I do. Just quick. Lame. So, I'm laughing because it's I usually agree with Ukulele and Samus on all the stuff. Like, we're usually pretty much always in agreement. And then I saw a message come through after I'd asked a question this morning, and Ukulele gave one opinion, and then Samus like, I agree with that opinion. And normally I would go, sure, sounds good. And I'm like, no, I disagree. What are you gonna do? It's fine. I'll just if it's 2 against 1, then I get voted down. That's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. You're fine. We're all fine. It's fine. Does anyone send him a DM now to mess with him with UXN? Yeah, that was all me. That was just my random brain needing to get closure on something before I could move forward. Like I said, I sent a question to somebody, to you know, Sam and Uke, and they answered, but they weren't correct in their answer, and it I didn't like it, and so I had to sit here and process that for a second. And it's okay now. It's okay now. We can have a difference of opinion. That's allowed. You know, we really can. Sam and Uke. Actually, no, it's one person. Sam and Uke. It's yeah. You don't know them. Try to just want to go rot in bed? Go ahead. Go ahead. Nobody will stop you. I mean, you did a whole week of training. By the way, Hannah, did you end up finishing training? Are you getting the job? Will you be going to that job? What is the actual, what's the result of all that? blissfully ignorant, which I'm cool with, right? Exactly. Yeah, no, it's very little to do with anything. Yeah, no, it's not really critical stuff. And you'll be rolled in once the knockdown drag out is complete. Once we've thoroughly exhausted all the options. All right, so today we're going to be talking about friendship. I'm gonna just go straight to the thing. We're gonna change up the music. I don't know why it really likes putting this song second, and I don't know why. It just Salmonax. That's a heck of a name. I like being in the know on things, but I also need to know things when I need to know them. Yeah, well, we're talking about the colors of the room. That's what we're talking about, is the colors of the Taco Tranquility room. And we've been talking about back and forth kind of on some stuff. And I have a certain vision, and then the ladies have a different vision. And truly, if I was smart, I'd be like, chances are the two women who know better than I do about what it should look like, and I should shut up. But so yeah, I'm thinking, the McDonald's red and yellow just everywhere. That's super comfy, right? On classy lunch break, just saying hi. I appreciate you being here. Have a good. I hope your lunch goes well. I did graduated training. Have been practicing phone calls this week. I will write my first application this afternoon. I accepted a job 2 weeks ago. Get to work from home. Have no base pay, but I do have uncapped commission. Commission's rough, but if it works out, then it can be really, really good. And the better you get at the job, and the more practice you get, and the more networking you do, and the more people that you can, like more people that you get to know and build your client list and stuff like that, it can work out. It's stressful. And until you've got that kind of built. I know people that they hate commission, like just they can't stand it. And I know people that they love commission because they're in control of how much money they make, and they really can make as much as they just decide they feel like it, because they're good salesmen. They don't struggle with selling, and I certainly do. I'm not a good seller. I attend company meetings on Zoom every weekday with a coworker who's been helping me practice. That's cool. Yeah, good. It takes a little while. And they're going to have questions and you don't know the answers to, and then you got to figure out those answers. But after a little while, you figure it out. Zero interior design sense, so I leave it to the wonderful women on the team. Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is. I feel like I've got a sense of I can tell when it feels wrong. But putting it together, it's actually been really, really hard. I've been trying to put together this new overlay setup and whatnot to try to catch the new meta on Twitch, which is, clean. And I don't like it. I don't like it looking clean. I don't like having the just the camera and whatever. I like the bits and bobs and things to look at. It's cool to me. And so I'm trying to find a balance between I like it and I think it's cool and this is what people expect and this is what I should be doing because that's what people want. My daughter flat out told me I wouldn't watch your stream because of how it looks. She just said it, which I'm like, all right, okay, all right. And it was, that's just because it doesn't meet her expectations for what she thinks her kind of stream would look like. Not that you can get that for everybody, but you try to find something nice. I missed last stream, but I saw the title about TOS changes. I don't usually watch reruns, but I'm interested to hear what new TOS changes. There's a few things, not anything monumental. It's good for small streamers and some monetization stuff and whatnot. So yeah, it's worth a little watch. Woke up with bad dream this morning and I need to pay one of my mom's bills. Won't be able to until tomorrow. Now I just feel terrible. Oh no. You didn't get good sleep, you had a nightmare, and you got to pay bills. That sucks. That's not a good way to start the day. I want to do overlays. That's the thing. Like, I want to show you. I can't do it because if I change my scene collection, it'll probably break the entire stream. But the essentially it's I'm trying to make the camera bigger while at the same time trying to have something cool on there. And the problem is the cool stuff. I think the cool stuff is cool. Other people, the cool stuff is distracting and therefore shouldn't be there. And so I don't know, man. I'm just back and forth, and it's agonizing. I probably spent about 6 hours in the last 12 looking at overlays, to try to figure out if there was something, just something I could find that would kind of solve my problem, because some artist out there, figured it out. And I just can't find anything. I can't find an overlay set I like. I can't find what I want to create. I don't like the one that I put together or had put together, whatever. So it's just I'm unsettled, and I'm sure it'll come. I can work with this. This works. I'm building it on a different profile, which means I can, I can figure it out. I don't have time. I don't feel a sense of pressure to get it done, but I also want to. Do the anime reviews, and I want to put up more of the YouTube videos, and I want to write the blog articles, and I have to do a talk in August at a church, and also I got a contact to the pastor who's my guy, who we got to figure out what to do with my future, and also hospital trips, and also I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind, which I'm glad I can be here. I think one of the best things about being on stream is that I'm on stream, and that means that I can, focus on stream. Here we are, me and you, streaming. That's it, what we're doing. And so I'm, it at least focuses the world for me. All right. What we're going to be doing, we're going to be talking about friendship today. And I thought it would be interesting. Yeah, go ahead, Hannah. Yeah, interrupt before we get started. Totally cool. I like overlays, but I can't have animated overlays because they make me drop frames and my laptop runs slower. Yeah, you can optimize them, right? So mine's not very optimized. Like, for example, you see that pile of icons there? Each one is its own graphic. It shouldn't be like that. It should be one graphic pre-made, right? Same with like this overlay set here. It's just, that's like one on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, and that all of that bogs out the computer, right? And so there, you can make it a bit more efficient. That's what I'm saying. But it is, yeah, it does take a little bit of jam. Your tooth, sir, did they remove the tooth and clear out the infection? They cleared out the infection. So what they did, they got in there, they opened it up, they scraped out all the infection, and then they sewed it back up, and they said, we're not gonna be able to finish. So you'll have to go to your dentist, they'll have to reopen you up, pack it full of cow bones and dead bodies. And then after they've done that, it'll grow back for 6 months. They'll put a fake flapper tooth in there, which apparently I'm going to be wearing at Reach, which kills me. So I hope I can talk properly. Doesn't sound like the gopher from Winnie the Pooh. And then then it'll get done. In 6 months they'll drill another hole and put another thing in there. So it's not done, not by a lot. It doesn't hurt anymore. I can still feel it, still there. But it doesn't hurt, so that's good. That's kind of a step in the right direction. Only take a week for your mouth to get used to it. It comes out though. That's the thing. I gotta take it out and put it in, and it's gonna have a little thing. I know. I'm gonna have ghosts. Yeah, I'm gonna have ghosts. I'm gonna have cow ghosts, cowboys. I think there's gonna be cows, and there'll be human cadaver parts in my face. That can't be good. No more tooth. Yeah, well, no, it's no more tooth for 6 months. They're gonna put something temporary in there while the bone turns into bone, and then once it's solid, they can drill another permanent tooth in there. That's this one tooth, man. That's been thousands and thousands of dollars and hours in the chair just for that one tooth over the course of my life. Crazy, man. Just something you gotta live with, and every decade or so, it needs a tune-up. So I'm a decade past, and now I need a tune-up, which sucks, but what are we gonna do? You gotta do it. My face is caving in on itself, and therefore it's got to be stuffed full of something. All right, I'll tell you what. If you guys have AMA, now's a good time. We'll do AMA before I jump into the content. We're gonna be talking about friendship, and from 4 different perspectives. The first one is, what's so dangerous about isolation? why is that bad? And then the second is how the sort of the modern context has co-opted or corrupted or it thinks weird thoughts about friendship and how we should be changing that and how it kind of screws with us when we're trying to go make friends. The third thing is asking the question, what is a good friend, or what's a good relationship look like? And then the fourth one is we're going to be talking about what good friends don't look like, what bad friendship. So I figured we're across the board, we'll have covered friendship. Temporarily no tooth. No, it's gonna have a little one tooth that I'm gonna have to stick in there. Yeah, and then they'll implant one after. Yeah, once it could happen. No, there's no appointment yet. They're supposed to get back to me and they haven't got back to me. I'm gonna call them at some point. But yeah, because they were supposed to get back to me when they had a plan and they didn't. So I guess I gotta chase them down. Had veneers for over 10 years, but now they're going bad. I'm thinking about getting a mouthful of implants if I can make enough commission. Yeah, you get to may just get rid of it. Yeah, that's sometimes you gotta. Thank you. If you have issues with the flapper, we can talk about how to make it work better. I don't know. It's gonna drive me crazy. I know for a fact it's gonna drive me crazy, and it's just something you got to get through, right? It's like this stupid arm thing. Like I can't play video games properly and use my mouse properly because my arm hurts, because et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you just got to deal with it. What life must go on. You must use the mouse. It's got to happen. So you don't have a choice. It's just something that happens, and that's okay. Does anybody have anything they want to say before we get started? Otherwise, I'm going to jump into the video. Might have a testimony related to a friendship brotherhood. Okay, far out, man. I was thinking about your question. Jones asked a question in a while back in my announcement feed, which is basically about how do you balance the idea of your feelings, right, with what's right and wrong, and if it feels right, but it isn't, then is that good or bad? And things like that.
You are the first person to enter the chat and have been first 1 time.
Good to see you, Nasir. And I think it kind of ties into the friendship thing, because the friendship thing, one of the bad friends, gives you bad advice and affirms everything you do. That's not a good friend. Sorry, 1 second. My bad. There we go. All right, cool. Determining between good affirmation, bad affirmation. Yeah, the question's really good. Yeah, good affirmation, bad affirmations. What would feelings of this is right for me versus exactly versus what is right. Kind of universally moral versus personal feelings. Yeah, I have striped toe socks. Good for you. Well, I have one striped sock on today, so we're kind of in the same boat, but not really. Yeah, bad friends. Yeah, all of Job's friends. They were good for a while until they opened their mouth, essentially. Like the Wicked Witch of the West. That's what I'm picturing. Just stripe. Okay, you guys ready? Let's talk about let's jump into this thing. You know what? Before we do that, let's just ask the question of you guys. Where are you at with friendship right now? I'll be vulnerable myself and say I struggle in the realm of friendship when, especially like kind of friendship locally. I have one guy that he doesn't see me very often. I think I've seen him once in the last, I don't know, socially we've seen each other once in the last year, so that kind of thing. When it comes to, relationships at church, I've tried to get involved at church. I've talked to people, I've had meetings, I've tried to set up and participate in stuff. Nobody will get back to me. That's been That's been something. It's been a bummer because the way that it's easier for guys, I guess I'll say for me, but mostly for guys, to be able to connect with other people is over doing stuff, doing things together. And so therefore I tried to, connect to things at church, but they, nobody's getting back to me, and nobody's, and they're busy and they're doing other stuff. The pastors in town that I know they don't see me as a real pastor anymore. And so therefore, I'm not part of any of their groups. And so loneliness is a real thing in my life. And because of all the stuff that's going on, that when it comes to people I spend time with, it's very, very few. Very, very few. The only time I spend time with people is usually officially, like when I'm on stream, or when I'm in a meeting, or when we have some kind of preset thing, or if it's like, with an accountability partnership or whatever. But when it comes to friendship stuff, I don't have a lot going on. It's partly because of me. It's not like I haven't been invited. I've had people say, hey, do you want to do a thing? And I'm either too demotivated, too depressed, too tired, too busy, too behind to say yes to any of it. And so therefore part of it's me, but at the same time it's a real struggle. It's a real struggle. Hannah says, I'm lonely. I have no IRL friends. All my friends are online. My uni friends are all over, and we've fallen out of touch. It's super painful. Yeah, I agree. I used to have some, I never really had a lot of friends, but when you're in church, when a pastor of a church or you're part of a church, you can kind of connect with folks, and you're there regular, and you hang out, and you can kind of get that. I don't think I ever had like a real close friend until, that one guy who's local. But then, like I said, we haven't seen each other in forever. I've invited him 20 times to do stuff, and he's said yes 20 times, but we never, it's happened once. Never been in contact with a lot of my good longtime friends for a while. Feels like I only talked to one of my best friends. I haven't really made any new friends since I've moved out. Pandemic. Yeah, that's another thing. Making new friends is a struggle. Making new friends is not the easiest thing for a lot of people. The young folks today, they've got a struggle because of COVID, right? They had a whole big pause right in the middle of the most formative parts of their relationship life, when they're supposed to be at school, they're supposed to be making friends, they're supposed to be kind of bouncing off each other and meeting people and getting to the next grade and getting to the next school, and it screwed a lot of them up. And so they were home for 2 years, and 2 years of being at home, and it kind of changes you, right? And so therefore dating is a mess, and having an actual connection to a person through whatever old school means of like bumping into each other at a like sports or an event or whatever, because things are online. A lot of people can't. I read an interesting article today that said, like the modern Gen Z doesn't know what it's like to kiss before they've seen porn, right? To make a friend that wasn't connected through the internet first somehow, that has, that things happen sort of in meat space first. It all happens digitally first. And so there's like this hypersensitivity, hyper awareness, like sanitized versus extreme version of stuff on the internet. Then it goes into real life, and it's skewing things, right? It skews stuff. I'm isolated to evade street justice. Is isolation internet justice? That's another thing, right, Conroy? That's the thing. Is some people they're at home for a reason. Like, it's not, they would love to go out and have friends. They would love to go out and go to places and do stuff and whatever. And they used to, but now because of just life and health and environment and whatever, they just can't do it. And that's why I love what we get to do here on the channel. That's why I love content creation so much, because it is a good stopgap. It's a good a version of friendship it's real. It's very real. Don't get me wrong. Online friendships are real friendships. It's just that, because of the line that is you having to participate in all of it, and they can't come find you, they can't come come to your house, knock on the door, you don't go out with them and you're stuck there or whatever. You're completely in charge. And so if you're feeling bad or you're feeling yucky or you're feeling, whatever, then you don't have to turn it on. You can just keep the computer off. You can keep the phone off. You can delete, Discord. You can remove yourself from every stress and nobody can find you. And that separation makes life a lot more difficult, right? Do we overthink friendship? Not in terms of what it is, but how to talk to people and make friends. Like, let's just simply hang out. We don't have to be best friends, just brainstorming. I mean, that's a good point, Zach. That idea of what are we even looking for, right? Like, what is friend? Is it someone that you hang out with? Is it someone that you share a game with? Is it someone that's on your team? Is it someone that is at church? Do they have to be a Christian? Do they have to be the same gender? Do they have to be the same age? Do you have to share whatever interests? Do you have to do things together? What kind of conversation? What is a friend, right? And I think that overcomplicating it with, we have to be this compatible. We have to do this many things together. We have to see each other this many times per week or per month, or it doesn't count, or I think that's going to complicate stuff, and it's going to be so I don't want to try to set those rules, because I don't think that's true. Like, my friend who is my friend that I haven't seen in a long time, he is my friend. When we connect with each other at some point in the future, it'll be nice. We will have friend. We will go and we will friend. but and it still counts. But what is I don't think it's worth trying to nail that down to an exact thing, right? It's an exact like time or definition. I don't think it would work. Let us go in friend. Yeah, exactly. Using friend as a verb. Pandemic did ruin a lot of friendships. Granted, for me, it didn't ruin any close friendships. Fortunate in that we're just busy in different walks of life. Most are married, have kids, and I'm just a cool uncle. Yeah, it's. I think the pandemic for me solidified how many of my relationships were official, right? Because it was in church. I'm the pastor. People call me. They depend on me. They say that I'm, a really important person to them. They invite me to stuff. I go to the events. I go to the places. I remember. We meet each other regularly. And then once, and this is true if you change jobs, change to another church, those relationships disappear. Like, you are gone. You are anathema. That they don't call you anymore. They don't talk to you anymore. It's like you don't even exist anymore. And then you go to the next church or whatever. And if, when I was no longer there, all those relationships were gone. I went from, people crying because it was like, what are we going to do without you? You're so important to my life. And I really depend on you, to never speaking to me ever again, because I was no longer the pastor there. Not because I got fired. I didn't get disqualified. Nothing bad happened. I just moved to a different job. But it's just part and parcel. It's part of the thing. So you discover, so many of my friendships, my relationships were built on official. Sort of the same thing when people go home. You go home from work. Those work people, do they even exist? Right? Are they your friends, or are they only friends there? What is a friend? That kind of thing. It's very complicated. And I know and it doesn't really matter once you're sitting in bed alone by yourself, wishing somebody would call, wishing somebody would say that you have value, or that, they don't want anything from you. But when all the relationships are transactional, right? Like, this is my friend. He's the friend that I'm accountability partner with. This is my friend. This is the friend that I call when we want to do a project. This is my friend. This is the friend I call when we're going to be doing, content creation, or we're going to be doing some kind of thing together. This is my friend that I call when when I have a problem, and they're transactional, as opposed to a friend that is just like the closer than a brother, kind of heartbeats together kind of thing. It's that kind of, when you're sitting there alone, like, that's to me anyway, that's the kind I want. I want someone who is thinking of me when they don't want something from me, and they don't, it's not a matter of them being nice and kind or whatever that's leading to something else, right? It's, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, not transactional. An acquaintance at church invited me to his house for dinner, not supper, with others, and ever since, he and I talk every Sunday and Wednesday and check in with each other and our families. I already told him that after I move, I'm having him over for dinner. Right, that's the start of a friendship, right? That is choice to be together, getting to know each other, making the decision to carve out time. Another thing that gets in the way of friendship is time, right? Is, do you have time? Do you make time? I've been criticized and rightly so by some folks that, you sit there and you talk about how you want some friends, and then, when have you carved out time for your friend? When have you carved out time so that you can have a friend? And the answer is I don't, right? I wake up in the morning, I talk to my kids, I eat a food, I go to work, I do the stream, or I do work until 5-6 o'clock p.m. Then I go talk to my family, and then I either come back and work some more, or I go off and I, pass out somewhere or hang out with the family or go shopping or do laundry or whatever. And so therefore, when is the carved out time that is designed, you're allowed to have a friend here. You're allowed to hang out with people. And it's not something that I do. So therefore, is that self-fulfilling prophecy? Kind of. Your talk right there reminded me of something awesome. I'll DM you. All right, rock and roll. I wish I had more than non-transactional friendships. Yeah, I think we all do. I don't know what that even looks like at this point, because especially since I'm so skewed when it comes to friendship, my brain doesn't see. My brain doesn't see people the way that you're supposed to. My assumption is that we're not friends, right? If you're like, I'm your friend, like, yeah, okay, for now, well, I'm your friend. Yeah, okay, but at some point you're gonna not be, right? You will leave. You'll take off. Something will happen. You'll figure out something. You'll betray me. Somebody will lie to you, and then you'll believe them, and then we won't be friends anymore. Like, that's just what happens. It happens every time. So I'm waiting for that, and so that's because that's the lens I see everyone through. Then it demotivates me from wanting to go to pursue the friendship, because and this is bad, I agree, this is bad, this is a mental problem, but all the friendships are pretend, and everybody's lying, and everybody's looking at me through the lens of what they can get from me until they've used me up, in which case I am done, right? And that's my experience with most of the closest relationships that I've had, and most of the Christians that I've known, is that that is for me the reality, and I'm waiting for the person to prove me wrong. And then you find that one guy is like, he is proving you wrong, he is there, he stuck around, he calls, like whatever, and then all of a sudden after a year, no longer there, and you're like, well, there's one more. I've disappeared in his mind. Was I ever friends, or was it just a matter of, for that time in that period, it was something that I was there and he's found someone better? Like, I don't know. And it messes with my head. It makes me sad, makes me scared. It makes me worry, makes me all kinds of things, right? I don't have it in my brain to try to figure out what that's like. I don't know. And so therefore, what's easier? Going and finding a friend, going and jumping into relationships and trying to figure out what's that, or just staying at home by myself, staying at work, and only having this, right? I was chatting with my friend ChatGPT about, I talked about this, I think yesterday, the day before, why I can't enjoy games. Why do I sit here and I can't start a game, and I can't play a game, and I can't do anything? And one of the things that it said was, the only time you feel valuable is when you are when you're streaming, when you're creating content, when you're working, right? So therefore, if you're sitting down and you are playing a game, it's not productive, therefore it doesn't count. And because you feel behind in all of your work, you don't feel like you've earned the right to be able to play. And so therefore, and besides, you're the leader of the group, you're the leader of this thing, you're the one who's the entertainer, you're the one who's the counselor, you're the one who's putting things on. So therefore, when you are not that, who are you? And sitting in front of the PC, looking at a game, that doesn't jive with my purpose. So therefore, it's almost impossible. And because everything is kind of screwed up through that lens, it makes not being on stream, not working, not writing, not creating, not editing, not speaking, not doing very awkward for me. But that's when friendship happens, is in the in-between times, right? If we can work, I love hanging out with Taco Team. I love hanging out and talking about stuff. I love being able to chat with, Ukulele and Samus about like the colors of what the taco room is going to look like, that kind of thing. I love that. It gives me purpose. It gives me something to connect with. It lets me tell jokes. I was at the Reach conference, big Reach conference presentation that was happening yesterday, right? So it was like, I think it was 100 or 75 or like just a ton of content creators who are going to be part of Reach conference, who were sitting there listening to the presentation of what Reach conference is going to be like. It's going to be big and important. Really, really cool. Looking forward to it. But in that context, I was able to chat and be funny and be silly and be ironic and get likes and whatnot. And it made me feel like that I had value. It made me feel like this is what I'm good at. This is what I'm good for. People like me. As soon as it was over, right, I went straight back into I don't exist anymore. I don't have any purpose. I don't have any reason. I don't have anything. I'm just tired. And it's really, 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 I'm not saying that's a good thing. It's a struggle. It's an absolute struggle for me. Joan says, I wouldn't be surprised if you plan to bring this up. C.S. Lewis has a good breakdown of solid relationships. Oh, look, if it isn't C.S. Lewis in the next video. Well done, Jones. Supersonic says, I don't know if this is a great example or not. Biblical figures, heroes not in our timeline. May really want to meet David, Moses, Noah, Peter, Paul, Matthew. If we don't make friendships online, how else would we know each other in this life timeline? There are so many great people out there we wouldn't have met, but we can't meet everyone. Only so many years in life, but still needing friendships IRL. We who are believers will all meet each other someday, but for now, I don't know how to finish this. And that's, yeah, you're right. And that's a thing. I don't know who David Pawson is. Sorry, Lucky. But I don't not like him, I guess. So yeah, and that's the thing, right? So in heaven, everything's going to be perfect. Great. In the meantime, I have a purpose. I have a mission. I have a goal. I have a life, and I enjoy my ministry. I also have a family, and I'm serving, and I'm taking care of them, and I love my family, and I love my children. I love my wife, and when we're together, it's not bad most of the time, and that's a good thing. It's just the friendship thing specifically is something that I struggle with. Yeah. Frankly, that's why I want to be friends with you. You won't leave, probably, theoretically, maybe. Right? Spoken like a true me. Yeah, I know exactly, right? I value Samus's friendship a lot. You guys should know by now that her and I partner on this channel. She's a big part of Taco. We chat a lot. We're kind of got the same kind of vibe going when it comes to how much we want to serve and what we want. We get along, and she's my friend. And we both struggle. Now, I don't want to, I'm not going to tell your story, but we both struggle with that because you already admitted it in chat, right? This idea of what even is a real friend? Are you real friends? So I'm looking at Samus and I'm like, is she a real friend? She says she is. She says she gets it. She says she's around, but is she? And then she looks at me. She's like, he says he's a friend. He says he wants a friend. He says that we're friends, but is he? And we're sitting there because two damaged people with relationship, struggles and baggage and difficulty that are looking at each other being like, are you real? Are you serious? Are you is this going to happen? And then it's just so, it sucks. And I'm really glad because I think because I've shared that damage and she shared that damage with me, we can go, okay, that's why, you know, I reacted like that. That's why I checked into that. That's why I didn't respond. That's why I was paranoid. We actually, you know, we talked a while back and we were both like couching everything. I'm not trying to upset you, but, and this is not what I meant. Please read this the right way. Oh, I wasn't trying to, no, I just want to say something. And we just agreed at one point, listen, everything we say should not be given a caveat, right? We should just, at this point, we should just trust that the other person isn't trying to offend us and to try to read whatever it is the most generous way possible. But we had to actually say, let's not couch everything we say, because we're so used to the person getting offended and taking off that it's like, I just want to make sure that I'm not going to do that with you because you're valuable to me. And I want to be friends with you, and we got to make sure that I don't offend you like everybody else seems to get offended. You know, that kind of thing. It's such a... Chrono says, I've always struggled with online friends because I can't be online all the time. Even coming here, I would consider you guys friends, but I don't always chat and show up. I have a similar struggle with that, Chrono, in that, you know, I'm in my office. Like, I wake up in the morning in my office, and then I leave my office, and then I come back to my office and I work on my computer. And I'm here from, you know, for, I don't know, sometimes 9 straight hours, give or take. Sometimes I don't even eat. I just in my office, and then I leave, and then sometimes I come back to my office. And so where do the friends exist, right? When they're like, let's do friend thing, you know, like, let's play a game together. Let's do Destiny together. Let's hang out and, you know, do whatever. They exist on the computer. And like, I look at that chair and I'm like, man, I don't want to sit on that anymore. I just don't want to be there anymore. And I can't do the, you know, I don't want to sit there and chat on my phone. I'm not chatty that way. I'd rather do something and talk and whatnot. And so, like, yeah, it's because of the internet needing to be in front of the computer thing. Sometimes it's like, man, I don't want to be in front of the computer anymore. Which is one of the reasons I struggle with, you know, start doing a taco, like time on Discord or just kind of hanging out in Discord like other people do, because that would be like the 14th hour I'm in this room. You know, 12th to 14th hour I'm in this room, which is a lot. It's a lot of time in one room. Like he says, he has a series on unlocking the Bible. That's nice. That's cool. I'm glad you like him. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Do our runs have to always have to show up every time? No, and they can't. We shouldn't hold them to that. People are people. They, you know, everybody struggles. Everybody's going through stuff. Everybody has limited time. No, everybody doesn't want to be on the, doesn't want to be on the internet all the time. We all struggle with that. That's why we need to be gracious with each other, right? That's why we have to say things like I said, like Samus and I said, let's just assume that we're not being mean to each other, and that's okay. In the same way, you just kind of say, let's just assume that person doesn't hang on the phone, that person also gets busy, that also person does get grumpy, that person also struggles with, you know, motivation, right? This is a thing that everybody goes through. They do too. So I'm going to extend them the grace that I'd want to be extended when I don't show up, when I feel bad, when I get grumpy, when I respond badly. You know, like, I want to give them the grace that I wish that they would give me. That way you know, which is nice when you have a plethora, you know, a bit of a rainbow of friends in different, so that way you can have different people at different times. But if you struggle with a friendship, you know, usually don't get a big pile. All right, tell you what, let's what I want to do, we're going to let's jump into this. You know what, why don't we do this? We'll go here, make it bigger so that way you guys can see it, and we're gonna watch this video. It's about isolation. What happens to your brain without any social contact? Then we're going to talk about friendship. Actually, we're going to talk about what Jones was talking about, which is the C.S. Lewis definition, right? Kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, hang on. Let's go. Well, that's loud.
Everyone needs time to themselves, and peaceful solitude has stress-relieving benefits. But being alone takes on an entirely different dimension when it creeps up or is forced upon you. When that's the case, the effects can be surprisingly extensive. And though different people experience distinct effects at different times, symptoms tend to become more severe and persistent the longer one's isolated. When someone is involuntarily confined to one space indefinitely for days, weeks, months, or even years, alone and without productive tasks, their body will likely undergo numerous changes. Let's take a look at what may.
It's funny they talk about isolation, like that you get stuck in a box, right? Because so many of us, and I'd imagine they're going to talk about this in a minute, and that is so many of us isolate on purpose. I'm not stuck in a box. I climb into my own box, and then I stay in my box, and then I live in that box. And then when I leave the box, I'm like, wow, I sure spent a lot of time in that box. I should probably not do that. It's but then that's where I'm more comfortable, and that's where I'm most productive, and that's where I get the most acclaim and credit and questions and purpose is in that box, and the box being my office, right? But we're not stuck. Yeah, 2X, please. Hey, where you gotta be? Where you gotta be? We're here. We're hanging out. Something got yes. I love Pilgrim's Progress. I've read it so many times, and because it shows so much of the phases of the Christian life and how sort of universal the path he trod, and that you see that we also go through in our Christian lives. And one of the things you see he goes through a time of loneliness. He goes through a time of isolation. Like when he's traveling in the dark path, like the valley of the shadow of death, where he's on like that little narrow ledge, he feels like he could go left or right, and he would probably, fall off and die forever. He hears ghosts, he hears sounds, he doesn't like it. He's alone, right? He is a Christian, and he is walking the path, but he feels alone. In the same way that when he, his friend, Faithful? I think Faithful. Who's the first one? Christian and Faithful, and then Christian and the second guy. I can't remember. Apparently I need to read it again. The first one dies, right? And he's crushed. It's really, really hard, because even much as he wants to celebrate, the passing of this saint, he's sad. It's really hard. The isolation is part of the journey for a Christian. It's not good, but there are times where we go through what one author called the dark night of the soul, right? What the psalmist called the valley of the shadow of death. It just happens, and that's part. It's normal. It's supposed to be an aberration. It's supposed to be it's not supposed to be always, right? It's supposed to be a time, sort of in the same way that like when you go to the gym, you're supposed to go to the gym, and then you leave the gym, right? All that sore muscles and the tired and the fatigue and the the whatever you got, that's not supposed to be life. That's supposed to be a period of time that you go and you do that thing, so that later, throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the rest of the time, you can do more stuff. You feel better. You've done something in your body so that you can move forward. Same thing with like you're eating a vegetable. You don't eat vegetables 25 hours a day. You eat it so that it can feed you. In the same way, that loneliness, the isolation, which, by the way, remember Matthew 6, which is the go be alone with God. When you do stuff, do it so nobody sees. That is a good sort of loneliness. That is the kind of loneliness where you are meant to be serving and nobody sees. You're meant to be connecting with God where nobody sees. Like your relationship with him becomes primary. You're not alone there, right? But there are times where God distances himself. God pulls back, it seems, where he's stretching your faith. He's stretching your experience. He's stretching your definition of what it is to be a follower of his, so that he can prepare you for something else. And the Psalm 139 is a great example of a I call it like a Rorschach test psalm, where if you read it as someone who knows God, it's comfortable. right? You're like, wow, he knows where I am. No matter where I go, no, I'm never alone. If I go to the highest heights, if I go to the lowest lows, if I go to the farthest distance, if no matter what, God is there. He's always with me. He's always going to find me. He's always going to protect me. He's always going to take care of me. He'll always convict me. He'll always bring me back. That is, yay. If you read that as someone who doesn't know God or doesn't like God, you're going to read that as someone who's trying to run away, right? If I try to get away from you in the heights because I feel guilty or shameful or because I just don't like you controlling my life, you show up there too. If I go and I dig myself into a hole and I'm like, I don't want to, leave me alone, God. I don't want to be part of this life. Leave me alone. And there you are again, right? That thing, thank you for the lurk, is a person seeking loneliness, seeking isolation, seeking to get away, digging themselves in a hole, climbing a mountain, going as far away as possible. And there's God saying, I'm not going to let you be alone, right? It's such a psalm that when you read it, like where you're at in life and where you're at with God is going to make you see that psalm in very different ways. But in truth, isolation is part of the Christian experience, and it's supposed to be, but not always, not for a long time.
May happen, and why? Early on, stress hormones may spike, and as time passes, that stress can become chronic. Social interactions and meaningful activities are essential for emotional stability. This may be because they provide us with what researchers call social reality testing, a sort of sounding board where we can gauge how rational our perceptions are. So, when someone's deprived of those kinds of communication and tasks, their sense of identity and reality becomes threatened.
So this is definitely an experience that I've had as I've been alone, or as I've been through abuse, or as I've been really, like when I was going through the bad stuff with the church, I would be on one side of the table alone, and the church would be on the other. And that sounds like I'm exaggerating, and that is not true. It's exactly what happened. Me there, them there, hours at a time, every week, months on end. It was really, really bad. And I was alone, and I felt alone there, and I felt alone when I, came home, and I felt alone when I was, I didn't have anyone around. And the sense of self and the sense of reality and sort of like getting gaslit into, who am I wrong? Was I wrong? What's going on? That kind of stuff it's just real. You start to wonder, and that's where burnout starts to come in, because your sense of self and your sense of normal and your sense of it's all over the place, which is why and this is what ended up happening is somebody, kind of parachutes into my life, or someone comes by and they look at you like, no, this isn't normal, Al. Right? What you're going through isn't normal. What you're going through is really difficult. What you're going through is exceptional. What you're going through is bad. I had one denominational leader say, in the last 10 years, you have been through 25 years of ministry. Well, no, it wasn't even 10 at the time. It was like 7. You've been through 25 years of ministry experiences in the last 7. You're on like this accelerated course. It is exceptional. It's different. Your path is different. And that requires someone else stepping in and going, you're not supposed to feel this way about yourself. You're not supposed to see yourself in this way. You're not supposed to, when other people do that to you, that is actually bad. When you do that for people, or when you compromise yourself, that's not good for you. Like even the little stuff. Yes, you need to brush your teeth. Yes, you need to have a shower. Yes, you need to clean your room. Because that is just what normal people do. And you can kind of wander through your house and wander through your life, and it just becomes normal that your house is destroyed, and that you're smelly, and that your bed's not made, and that, everything is just kind of off. And that just becomes normal because that's where you live and nobody else is there. And it takes someone coming over to your house, or takes you going to someone else's house, or it takes someone else coming and kind of looking over your shoulder for you to go, what's actually happening? Why am I doing this? And why do I live this way? And what's going on? Because as long as you're alone, all that stuff can become part of the noise that you don't even realize there's something messed up. Hannah said, why is it that when I'm down and depressed about feeling alone, that sometimes I just want to be more alone? Like I go lay in my bed in a depression rut. Partly because it's it's not the only time you've done that, right? So, for example, you're a finite being. You only have so much energy. You only have so much positivity. You only have so much willpower. You only have so much physical strength, emotional strength. Like you only have so much. And so, therefore, if you have been fighting depression and you've been fighting mental health and you've been fighting motivation and making yourself, make a good choice like eating or showering or going and going for a walk or whatever, and you make yourself do that, the idea of rallying yourself to the place where you want to invite someone else into that space, clean yourself up and clean up that room, or go out and get ready and have conversations to be asked, how are you doing, yet one more time, and having to answer that question and process that. That's just too exhausting. That concept, that idea, I don't want to involve, it's not like I don't want to be in, ask that question, or it's not like I don't want to be around people, but I've used it all up. Just getting through today, just getting from waking up to after supper has used everything. Yes, I'm lonely. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I wish somebody was here. Yes, I wish I had somebody encouraging me. Yes, I wish there was something in my life that was more lit, more energetic, more exciting, more something. But I don't have it in me to generate that right now. And then you go to bed in that depression rot. The thing is, that's why if you look at the loneliness epidemic, one of the crises of the loneliness epidemic is the fact that people are getting sicker, people are dying, people are more stressed out, people don't have someone looking over their shoulder going, hey, when was the last time you drank a glass of water? Right? You need people in your life to make that happen. Otherwise, you can get really, really messed up. And that isolation becomes it's like you're spiraling. I don't want to be around anybody because I feel bad, and I feel bad, so I don't want to be around anybody. And even though I want people around, because I feel bad and I haven't been around anybody, I don't want to be around anybody. So therefore, I'm gonna, and you need someone to pull you out of that. Some brave person to step in and go, hey, you're valuable. I think that's one of the best parts of online ministry, digital ministry, this is what we're doing here, is that we're a great break. Weird thing to say, but Hannah can take us to bed. Hannah can bring us with her to bed, and we can be there, and she can be listening, and she can be enacting, and she can be part of the situation. She can be part of the experience. All that kind of stuff can happen because we're portable. When she's tired, she can push pause. When she's wants to know more, she can ask questions. When she wants to engage, she can. When she wants to not engage, she can't. Right? Unless there's an ad. In which case, the ad will get in trouble. Will be a problem. I hope you're back. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Is that we are this wonderful stopgap where Hannah can bring us with her when she's not feeling well because we're portable. I think it's one of the best things that we offer is legitimate relationship at the level that someone can handle within their own space. Hannah, no, Ukulele says social reality checks only kind of work if the person you were socializing with has the reality. I think you still, I think I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, but I think what he's saying, like even just being out with other people, there is a comparative thing, right? You look at that person like, wow, that's really messed up. And you're like, okay, well, I am too. Or you look at that person like, oh, they've got that going on. They've got, whatever. And then even if they're still a mess, it still makes you think beyond what you would have done just being by yourself, I think. Ukulele said, because our brains lie to us. My hubs is like that. And then he has to go out for an appointment and he come back. He's like, hey, I actually feel better after leaving the house and talking to other people. The ministry of showing up. I've called that in the past. And what that is usually you've got some things you can go to, whether it be church or groups or stream or Discord or something. And it's really hard. Like Hannah said, sometimes you just feel crappy. You don't want to go. I've said, and psychologists and counselors and everybody will say, you don't have to make the whole plan. You don't have to decide you're going to show up and be awesome. You don't have to host the bloody thing. Just get there. right? In the same way that when you're going through stuff, it's like, you want to read a book, just open the book, read one page, right? You want to start drawing, just grab a pencil, say you're going to sketch something for 5 minutes, right? You don't have to sketch for 3 hours. Just do something to get started. And in that getting started, suddenly the ball starts rolling and you're able to do it more, and it becomes, a real deal for you because you're enjoying it. It that initial step. Same thing with going out, right? You go to church, you sit there grumpy, or you go to your small group and you just kind of sit there quietly. Afterwards, you will have engaged with someone. You may ask a question. They would have maybe prayed for you or something. And all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm glad I did. All I was going to do was sit there, but I got way more out of it. All I had to do was show up, right? It's a discipline is what it is. It's a discipline, just choosing to show up. Yuke says that's the exact reason why I started going to an in-person church. Yeah, because you have to. Yeah, exactly. But you don't have to go to an in-person church. What I mean is if you're going to be in front of people and around people, you got to go where people are. That's what that means. Hannah says, my husband is so introverted, but he's also majorly ADHD. He doesn't like being around people for long periods, but he also can't sit still for long periods. He'll put on his headphones, listen to music while forging a path in the carpet. So when I call him to come in bed for cuddles, he usually doesn't stay for longer than 5 minutes. That could be something going on in him, that he's got other things going on, right? You can be introverted and you can be, like ADHD or whatever, but if you can't, be with the person that you care about most, and you can't, be around folks, and you're actively avoiding, and like your excuse is, I just can't pay attention. I can't go there. I can't, I just don't feel like it. I'm really introverted. There's usually something else. You are hurt. You are afraid. You feel guilty or shameful. You have some kind of history of abuse, or they're going to trigger you, or the environment is something that's messing with you. There's something else, right? Because introverted people can be social. They can go out and be social. They can go places within, their own little structure. Yes, they're going to have to navigate it differently, but everybody needs this. And regardless of how introverted you are, if you can't make yourself do it, you can't be with the person that is in your house by themselves that you married and whatever, there's probably something else going on. And it's probably worth having that conversation of, so what's actually like kind of bothering you when it comes to this? Like, you're pacing and you're back and forth and you're trying to drown out the voices. And when you do finally sit down, you feel a sense of antsiness, and you feel a sense of you don't want to be here, but you don't want to be anywhere. You just want to be. So what's up with that? What are you trying to run from? What are you trying to run towards? What are you trying to get out of your system? What are you trying to put into your system? What are these voices saying that you're trying to drown out, and what are you trying to replace it with, right? Those kind of conversations where it's like, actually, I'm really afraid of this. Like I'm afraid that you're going to leave, or I've been doing bad stuff by myself, and therefore whenever I see you, I feel really guilty, or I'm really uncomfortable in my body right now, and so when I lie down, I feel gross, I feel fat, I feel ugly and unattractive, and so therefore when I'm near you or whatever, I feel like I'm making your life worse, and I feel gross, not because of you, but because of me, right? And working through that kind of stuff with conversation ends up leading to greater intimacy, but it isn't just introverted and ADHD. There's something else going on. Shannigan says, I've been doing that lately with multiple things, including going to church events. I don't always feel better or anything, but I challenged the anxiety and depression. I challenged the anxiety and depression and showed up, even if I leave early. Yeah, that's just step one. Just get there. I got there, I stayed for half an hour, and I left. Next week, I got there, I stayed for 45 minutes, and I left. You got there. That's a big deal. That's one of the things we used to do, drive separately so Hubs could leave when he decided to. I feel that with you. I've got that too. I've got that skittish nature. I won't go in a car with somebody to a place. I just won't do it. If you call me and say, hey, you want me to pick you up, it will be a very rare exception that I'll let that happen, because I've been trapped in cars with people who were pretty horrible to me. And so therefore I don't want to be trapped in a car with you at your behest and at your beholden to you, and that I have to leave when you leave, and I have to come and talk to you and say, hey, I'm freaking out. Can we go? Because I don't want to do that. So I drive myself, right? That's coping mechanism. Heading says, I went to a women's ministry meeting Monday, mostly for my mom, and she said it would be an hour. I felt anxious and sad, mostly a little past an hour when they were still talking and planning. I told her I needed to leave, so I did, but I hadn't gone to any of those meetings before, and I didn't spend the whole evening alone. Yeah, and you got out, and yeah, that's a win. Chalk that up as a win, man, for sure. Sleepy says, I feel like that every day. However, I don't let it bother me. I want to motivate me through, though, to lose weight. Well, and you need to do it socially, right? It's something that happens with other people. Wish my sister was here in the stream, even if I sent her a link. I know she won't come and listen to the VOD. I'll try anyway. It's worth trying, you know. Like I talk long-winded about things that, and then I repeat myself, and so therefore it's you gotta get used to the style, man. Okay, let's keep going.
Thoughts spiral and their impulses take the reins, setting the stage for depression, obsessions, suicidal ideation, and, for some, delusions and hallucinations. Over time, this prolonged agitation can cause the brain's limbic system, which regulates fear and stress, to become especially responsive and hyperactive. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the brain's hub for reasoning and moral judgment, may shrink, impair.
That sucks, right? So, and if you've ever had PTSD, if you've ever been in an abusive relationship, if you've ever done this stuff, you know what it's like to live at fear and isolation and loneliness and anxiety and panic and uncomfortableness for long periods of time. And so you're just used to being on edge. You're just used to feeling miserable. You're used to waiting for the shoe to drop and waiting for something bad to happen. And even when nothing bad happening, you're always waiting for it. And that's just normal for you. And you're just like, that's how you live. And so therefore, like it said, and then the part of your brain that actually goes, hey, here's reality. Here's the truth, shrinks, because for you, that's not working. You know, like, I'd love to believe that, but I seem to always be right when things get worse. It becomes very, very difficult, very, very sad.
One's focus, memory, and cognition. Overall, the balance shifts from rational thinking towards emotionality.
So you could actually see this in me if you go through some of my streams. You'll see the days where I'm feeling really, really bad because I can't form sentences. And I can't remember what I was talking about, and I can't remember where I was going. It happens a lot. Like I am a bit scatterbrained, so that's kind of it does happen. You know, one thing, you get a logjam of thoughts, so you don't know which one to choose from. But if I'm really down, really depressed, bad stuff's going on, I can't stream very good. I can't think very good. I can't process very good. And all of a sudden, you know, like my brain is just not able to do things well. And it's not because I've got dumber. It's because my brain's not working, because it's using up all the energy to deal with the anxiety and sadness and loneliness. And then you just can't function. Then I feel dumb, right? Then I feel like, why am I even here if I can't form a sentence? And then it becomes, why am I streaming? And then I cycle. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But that's cool that you can use AI to build yourself a meal plan. That's cool. That's really cool.
And as someone remains in this state, the imbalance becomes ingrained, making them more prone to bouts of anxiety, rage, and irrational actions. Isolation will also affect other parts of the person's health. They may lose sense of time and have difficulties sleeping. They're more likely to experience heart palpitations, headaches, dizziness, and hypersensitivity.
Stop describing my life.
They also lose weight because of stress-induced digestive issues and poor appetite. One can attempt to cope by establishing the healthiest routine possible under the extreme circumstances, including robust exercise, reading, and writing. But that can only do so much. The United Nations, many human rights organizations, and experts classify this kind of forced, prolonged isolation as torture. And yet it's...
I think about this sometimes. Hey, Gamer Knight, good to see you. I think about this sometimes. Torture. Sometimes I think about torture. Anybody else? No? Yeah. The consider what they do when they're torturing someone, right? So lack of sleep is torture. Isolation is torture. Lack of food is torture. Lack of water, torture. A ton of noise is torture, right? They use noise, nonstop noise, as torture. But now consider how some people live their life, right? They only use stimulants, so they don't really eat that good. They don't sleep that good. They don't, there's no water, food in their life. They're always surrounded by noise, nonstop noise, and they are isolated and alone, right? And then you add from torture to propaganda, right? One of the ways that you mess with people is you lie to them and use propaganda. You use manipulation in order to change their thinking so that you can get them to do bad stuff, right? You stick them in a hole so you can change their thinking, so you can make them, break them. And so we actively watch propaganda all the time, right? That's social media. It is a series of lies and a series of untruths and perspectives that don't exist, and like people that don't exist, that don't look that way and whatnot. And we're constantly feeding ourselves, putting ourselves in a state of starvation and fatigue and noise torture, and then we go fill our brains with propaganda of what life is like out there, and no wonder we're all screwed up, right? No wonder we're all screwed up. Lucky says, we all have our own walk because of how experience and perspective work. It might as well be that we each live a different reality entirely. When we lose sight of that, we can feel like we don't connect with anyone when really we are focused on the wrong things. Someone can be happy and their friend is depressed. It doesn't mean you can't relate anymore. You both still eat and sleep and dream. It's why forgiveness and grace are important. And that's why we're supposed to be in community. Right? Because we have, when you're down and I'm up and vice versa, and when you're dumb and I'm smart, and when you're tired and I have energy, and, like we're supposed to be doing that so that we can each kind of balance each other out and help each other out. But when we're outside of that, we don't have anybody kind of pulling us out of the muck or giving us truth to the lies. Yeah.
Something imprisoned people in many countries endure, also called solitary confinement or restrictive housing. The practice is most common in the United States. In 2019, more than 120,000 U.S. prisoners lived in solitary confinement, spending 22 to 24 hours a day in mostly windowless cells spanning roughly 6 by 9 feet. Quaker groups introduced solitary confinement to U.S. prisons in the late 1700s
Truly
as an
gamer night,
alternative to corporal punishment, believing it could bring about reflection and penitence, hence penitentiary. But the practice quickly faced criticism from public figures all the way to the Supreme Court. Charles Dickens, for one, condemned solitary confinement as worse than any torture of the body. Its use dwindled, but then, in the 1980s, alongside more punitive, tough-on-crime laws, U.S. prison populations skyrocketed.
Yeah.
As prisons grew crowded, incidences of protests, rebellions, and violence grew, and prison authorities increasingly used solitary confinement to maintain control. Many people have been placed in solitary confinement for minor, non-violent infractions, like talking back to prison guards. And solitary confinement is harmful to everyone, but many who've experienced it have pre-existing mental health disorders, which it only exacerbates. Solitary confinement also seems to have lasting effects that make readjusting to life outside of a cell difficult. People who have gone through solitary confinement.
Okay, hang on to that one, right? So if you've been through solitary confinement, which we're, a lot of us admitting that is kind of our life, right? Joan's talking about that. I'm talking about that. Hannah talking about that. Like a lot of us are sort of solitary confined, out of our own habits or, foolishness or life or whatever, mental health or whatever, right? It becomes, once you're in it, it's harder to get out of it. That is such an important thing to remember. And it's something I'm being very convicted about of late, because I was, I had to go to church and I had to go to meetings and I had to go to things and I had to do stuff and all the time. And that was my life. And now I don't, right? Now I don't have to do, nobody has to do nothing. My kids are growing up. My wife is often not around. And so therefore I'm alone a lot. And so me going back into public. So here's a great example. I love movies. I used to freaking love movies, watching movies all the time. My favorite place in the world was going to the theater. I couldn't wait to go to the theater because it was, just fun. I loved it. Then COVID hit. And then, sort of staying in my room and doing only content creation hit. And then really, really, really difficult stuff in life that made life really, really, really hard hit at the same time. And it all kind of kept me inside. And so later, when theaters started to open again, and even now, my son will be like, let's go to the theater. And I'm like, I don't want to. Not because I don't like movies anymore, not because I don't, it's harder for me to get out of solitary confinement and enter into the real world. It's somehow easier for me to just stay home. And it's not healthy. I'm not saying it's good. But it is a struggle. It is a struggle. I have to make myself, I literally will myself to say yes to my family when they ask me to do something. Because if I was left to my own devices and I would not do anything ever, I don't think. I wonder, man, I really wonder. Like, my daughter's like, you want to go for a walk? I'm like, yes, I will go. Even though I don't feel like it, let's go. We'll go for a walk. Dad, you want to go to the mall? Let's go to the mall. Hey, you want to come out and watch the thing? Sure, let's watch the thing. Hey, you want to go for a drive? Sure, let's go for a drive. I'll just say yes, because it's if I allow myself to keep saying no, I just won't go to anything, and I'll be more miserable. But the truth is, and that's, I don't know, Hannah, maybe you get this, maybe Jones, maybe you get this, but the deciding to leave your room, deciding to go out, deciding to be with other people, it can be pretty kind of scary. Yesterday, and I'll admit, like, here, full disclosure, right? Like be really vulnerable. Yesterday, I was sitting in that group with 75 other content creators, and like I said, I was being funny and being, trying to be me and people, whatever. And the whole time my anxiety was just getting higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, as Romans is talking about how big a deal this is going to be and how many people are going to be excited and how many folks are going to be there, and talking about hundreds and I'm like, wow, that's a lot. And I'm supposed to go and I'm supposed to speak and I'm supposed to meet people and I'm supposed to like help with the Taco Tranquility Room, and I'm supposed to bring bring my daughter down and do stuff with Taco and with other, and as he's like, hundreds of people will be there and we're going to be doing these things and all these events are going to be happening and other people are going to be doing stuff and everybody, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's like going from solitary confinement and then throwing someone into Disneyland, right? Like, go have fun. And it's like, I don't think it's going to work that way, right? It's going to take a minute. I guess I'll ask, how many of you went to an event or recently went to some kind of thing like that, and it was actually difficult for you to, a room will be needed? Yeah, by me. How many of you went to a thing and it was actually hard for you? Like, you wanted to be there? Say it was last year's Reach conference or the LTN thing, or the, another, event that was kind of something. And it was hard for you to go because you were afraid of just kind of being there. And then when you were there, it took a little bit of time to adjust to being. Well, I think that's going to happen to me. Because if people ask me to go out and do things, I will. I just tend to not do things on my own, even though I will feel better. Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I feel that way too. I want to play. I could make myself cry right now just by talking about how much I want to play, because I so desperately want to just hang out socially, without the pressure of doing, and without the pressure of being, without the pressure of trying to be a content creator and be funny and be interesting, but just kind of hang out and play with somebody who isn't blood related to me. And it's hard. It's hard. It's just hard to do. Too many people, too much going on, right? Yeah. I'm only going to Gen Con this year because my son wants to go. I have no desire to go. Yeah, and there's so much. It's that desire, right? And that's what, but Hannah was talking about, was that where's the desire, and what if you don't want to? That's hard. It's hard to do, making yourself want to, or doing the thing. It's like working out, right? Like, I know it's better for me. I know I should, but what's easier, TV chips and sitting, or going out, going for a walk and eating, carrots? Like, one of those things is way less fun. Until, I'll continue the analogy, until you've done the carrots and walking and sunshine thing for a while, and then suddenly you'll go back to the TV and the chips, and you walk away from that feeling sick, right? Having that healthy mindset and that healthy lifestyle and that taste of what life is supposed to feel like. And then going back to an old habit, you'll feel gross. How many of you experienced that? You've got yourself kind of put together, and then you go back to an old habit, whether it be, like surfing the internet all day, or watching or binging, and all of a sudden you're like, I feel gross. Like, this used to make me feel better, but now I feel gross, right? That means you're getting better. That's actually a good thing, right? When you eat a bag of chips and you're like, blah, I don't want to do that again, I feel gross. That means you're doing better. You're feeling better.
Are 3 times more likely to show signs of post-traumatic life outside of a cell difficult. People who have gone through solitary confinement are 3 times more likely to show signs of post-traumatic stress disorder, and they commonly report experiencing shifts in their personalities, increased anxiety and paranoia in otherwise ordinary situations, and difficulty concentrating and connecting with others. Some states have restricted the use of solitary confinement in cases involving serious mental illness, children, or pregnancy, and some have adopted 15 or 20-day limits for everyone. But
20 days? Are people staying in solitary confinement for 20 days? I mean, I've never been to prison. I don't know about it, but I assume solitary confinement was like a couple days. Go sit in your room for a while. They're talking a month or more? That really is torture. Wow, that's awful. Yeah, 1 week is too much. Yeah, even me and my introverted, like antisocial self, I gotta get out every 4 days. I gotta do something, or I really do I will go bonkers. I will turn into just a mess. Yeah, Jeff, you wanted a puppy to get out because you wanted an excuse. Yeah, we all need an excuse. That's one of the reasons to join a thing. Join a club, join a group, join a guild, join a D&D campaign, join a thing, join something, right? And because the external pressure forces you to have to go. The problem is the commitment, to starting up front. Because if you're like, man, if I don't go, then I'm in trouble. Or if I don't go, then they're going to not be able to do it. If they don't go, then it's nothing wrong with a little bit of external pressure. If it's for a good thing. Peer pressure isn't always bad. Oh, I appreciate that, Cam. Thank you for saying that. Cam on YouTube. Cam on YouTube, who doesn't get to be seen on the channel because of Twitch's policies. But thank you for saying that. I really appreciate you coming by. Mad Dog, 200 days of good sleep. No, apparently not. Apparently you go crazy, Conroy. That's what we're learning. Ukulele says, yes, hubby and I make some dietary changes, and now certain foods we are supposed to avoid. Now we feel how bad they make us feel. Yeah, they really do. Like, they're not, they feel gross. It is real. That's a real thing. What did Cam say? He said he likes my channel. You thought my channel was larger? Someday, man. Someday. Tell your friends. How about that? Go and tell your friends I exist. Then it'll be a little bit larger. Unless you don't have any friends, in which case we can be friends, you and me. I'm looking for friends. That's what this whole day is about. Hey, you want to be friends? One day with nothing to distract from it would be rough. Yeah. Shannigan says, I'm an introvert. Why can't I seem to get the chat in the right spot? I've got 3, and none of them seem to say the right thing. Shannigan says, I'm an introvert, but if I have no real contact with people, like in voice or person, I start declining pretty fast. Yeah. Can't imagine what, after 20 days. Oof. Dude. Yeah, honestly, I thought solitary confinement was like a couple days. I can't imagine a month by yourself locked in a box. Oh, I mean, that would be bad. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yale University has a Seeing Solitary website with state and federal solitary confinement rates measuring 15 days or more. That's crazy, man. Wow. But again, let's go back to that illustration about torture, right? You ask yourself, when was the last time you went out with a friend? When was the last time you went somewhere, And if the answer is 2 weeks, right, then you're doing the thing to yourself that they're saying tortures people and they've had to make laws about because the evil people were forcing that on the prisoners. And you're like, that's my normal life. That's not good, okay? Neither one of us should think that's normal. We should be like, wow, we treat ourselves like we're a prisoner of war in an evil North Korean country where we are torturing ourselves. Maybe we shouldn't do that to ourselves. Maybe we're worth a bit more. Maybe we need someone to come to our rescue, maybe. But yeah, it's not good. Which is, I have a roommate and we talk as he leaves and comes back from work. That's my typical in-person interaction during the week. I always think of that meme. You know that meme? I think of it all the time. This one? Like that? All the time. It's just such a perfect encapsulation of that feeling. Like, it's something. It's not good, not bad. It just is, right? It's not. It's better than nothing, I guess. Yeah, pretty much online. And again, I am not gonna poop on online relationships. Online friendships are very real. Online friendships can be very, very intimate and close and try not to use the word real again, but real. Like they really can, and they're important to a lot of folks, and we definitely don't want to dismiss people for saying, like, if you have online relationships, those are bad. You should go find real ones. What we're saying is, man does not live on internet relationships alone, right? We are social creatures, and we do need to be around each other. That's why if you look at the breakdown, like if you go to my website and you look at digital ministries, 101 that I talk about, the end result really is to try to get someone to a place mental health wise that they can go to an IRL place, church, group, something. Because I believe strongly that as awesome as online ministry is, as unique as it is, how we get places nobody else can go to talk to people nobody else can talk to in places that nobody else is. We are unique. Our mission is unique, and our structure is unique, and our abilities are unique, and our people that we serve aren't being served by anybody else. We do awesome work. But the end result isn't to keep them online, right? I think that would be unhealthy. Our end result should be we have a healthy online relationships that are really important to us, that work within our structure, and it's all really good. But we now feel healthy enough. We feel confident enough. We feel strong enough, feel healed enough to step into trying a new relationship, like a new IRL relationship group. That should be the best ending. Not that we leave our online relationships behind, but that we add to them healthy offline relationships. I love my online friendships, but it's different than speaking on the phone or seeing someone in person, even just briefly. Feeling is different. It is different. It hits different. You're right. Wish I could see my online friends in person one day, but they live too far away, like Canada. Hey, I'm going to be down at Reach. I think one of the best things that happens at Reach, exclamation point Reach, by the way, exclamation point Reach, is that we're going to be able to see each other, man. We're gonna be able to see each other. I will be standing in the presence of the peoples, man. We're gonna be there, and I'm gonna be on stage, and I'm gonna be in the taco room, and I'm gonna be wandering around, and I'll be in a bright orange shirt that you can't not see, or a bright purple shirt, one of the two. But I will be seeable. I'll tell you what, and we'll be able to hang out, and I have no qualms about hanging out with anybody. I really do want to get to know folks. Actually, I've been to some. I don't know. Raise your hand if you've been to a conference before where you never went to anything. You just hung out with the folks that were there, and then maybe like went to one talk but the rest of the time it was like, you want to hang out and want to talk, let's go do something, and then like, I don't know, I've done that where half the time like you skip 2 or 3 things because you're chatting with folks. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, the whole taco team will be together for the first time. You are absolutely right. It's exciting. That's exciting. Yes, you can touch. There you go. We're gonna sell tickets. Touch XN on the skin. I'll give you access for $5. I'll shake your hand for $15. You can give me a kiss on the forehead. Okay, where all money goes to charity. You steal DNA and clone your own XN. I'll spit in a jar. Why not? Let's go. More people in the world. Put them in the dunk tank. I will do anything you guys want. I just want to be part of your guys' experience and serve. We were talking about this yesterday. We're at the meeting. So it's inside baseball, okay? So don't repeat this to anybody. It's just between you and me, okay? We're at the meeting, and they did a whole thing, broke down all of Reach. And, this is going to happen. These are the speakers, and these are the people, and this is the event. These are the 15 things that are going to happen. This is the calendar. This is everything. This, whatever. They didn't mention taco once. We were given an entire room. We're going to be like decorating an entire giant room that is meant to serve people with mental health issues or social anxiety or whatever that need to chill out, right? That's what we're doing. We're bringing that. And we just weren't mentioned. And so afterwards, I sent a message to Yuke and to Samus, who were there in the meeting. And I'm like, I was, for a second there, I was a little bummed that they didn't mention taco at all. But then I remembered Matthew 6, that our job is, we're supposed to be Christian ninjaing this thing. We serve without being seen. That is what we do. We're there to serve. We're not there to be seen. And so therefore it's like, it's okay. And it was, I'd love to help in any way possible, but I'm there to serve. In my heart, I'm there to serve. Taco's there to serve. We're not there to self promote. We're there to serve. That's what we want to do. That's the best thing we could possibly do. Let's keep going.
Laws that regulate solitary confinement aren't always enforced, and prison authorities have created loopholes.
Yeah.
Yet solitary confinement does immense damage that is contrary to rehabilitation, while failing to reduce prison violence. Meanwhile, other countries have centered more humane approaches. Norway, for example,
always Norway,
imprisons far fewer people per capita than the US, while spending 5 times more per prisoner on accommodations, classes, and work release programs. Norway also sees far fewer people return to prison after release, with one of the world's lowest rates of recidivism, indicating we tend to get better together. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people in the US who can't afford bail are forced to stay in jail.
All right, yeah, bail system. Okay. So that's step 1, man. So that's some serious stuff. Step 1 of this talk. What time even is it? Wow, 2:00 already. We are not going to get through this. Hey there, Ferric. Part 1 was meant to be a talk about us kind of going, you know what, we really need to consider the ramifications of friendship, right? So like I said, with my ChatGPT conversation, I was talking about, like why can't I game or whatever, and through the conversation, it said, like, it was trying to be full counselor mode. He's like, let me be real with you. You need to make some friends. You need to get out of here. You need some people in your life, man. This is ChatGPT saying this, right? Like you need to go out. And I'm like, I agree completely. Which means I really should. But so a lot of this is for me. It's like preacher heal thyself kind of thing. which is, hey, look at, we all need more people in our lives, and isolation, social isolation, all that stuff, the things that we're doing it's really working against us. Why do we feel so crappy? Why do I always, this, that, and the other thing? One of the reasons could very much be the social isolation. This next video that we're going to be looking at is about what sort of the co-opting of friendship. One of the reasons that friendship has been a problem for folks, for guys specifically, but I'd imagine also for females. I'm a guy, so therefore I know. Is that when we do have a sense of intimacy with someone, whether it be, man, woman, it doesn't matter. It's undergirded or whatever in society by what is assumed to be sexual attraction, right? That idea that you can't be friends with someone without wanting to sleep with them. Man, woman, doesn't matter. If you really like that person, you must be gay. If you really like that person, you must be, want to date them, right? There is no such thing as friendship anymore. It is completely disappeared in the same way that the idea of I guess marriage, I don't know, whatever. We've really screwed up society. Put it that way. Taco bar at the taco room? No, we can't. That would be you would, for one, I would eat only tacos all the time, and I wouldn't go to anything, and we wouldn't be able to talk it, and I'd have gas, and you guys wouldn't enjoy being around me. So that would be a terrible idea, actually, for your sake and mine. So let's give this a watch. This is a smaller creator, actually. I've never seen this guy before. He just had a good thumbnail, and this is actually the video that spawned us talking about what we're talking about today. So let's give this a watch. And by the way, remember, you can interrupt anytime with whatever you want to say. We can wait a sec. Arcone's coming in. Hello, Arcone. Good to see you. Glad you're here. I want to figure out why I didn't get the alert. Okay, whatever. It's fine. Good to see you. Hey, Arcone. I'm glad you're here. How was stream? I hope you're well. I was just about to push play on on another video. We've been talking about friendship today. We just did a whole video about isolation, social isolation, and that it's bad, in case you didn't know. Now we're going to talk about friendship and how it's been kind of messed up with messed up by society. Yeah. You heard it. I didn't hear it. I don't know why. Well, because things are goofy. Jerry's making me biscuits. Nice. Let's go. Stream routine feels good. Yeah. See this whole not having a job thing? I highly recommend it. Sign up, man. No jobs. It's just the best. I appreciate. Thanks for the raid, bud. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's go with this.
Those who cannot conceive of friendship as a substantive love, but only as a disguise of eros, betray the fact that they have never had a friend. Fellas, is friendship
gay?
With June now behind us, some call it Pride, there was another fresh round of national conversation about LGBT
society,
representation
right?
in popular media, and I came across this nightmare. Frog and Toad, remember them? These books by Arnold Lobel, who was gay by the way, were among my favorites as a kid. My memories with these books aren't visceral, but they're more like fingerprints. I still feel the warmth of these stories. And it has a lot to do with the sincerity and simplicity of that friendship on those pages. But like so many other popular stories and friendships, people like to twist their meaning, and I'll tell you why they do this. Friends are fellow travelers. We recognize ourselves in them, and when friendships are healthy, we reveal ourselves and aren't punished for it. That's a very simple fact of most male and female relationships. There will always be some higher degree of scrutiny over the pairing, and in many cases, the friend zone or the.
So just to pause there, that's a really good point, and actually it kind of goes to why don't we go out more? And I think one of the reasons that we don't go out more could be guilt, shame, fear of discovery, right? So if you are doing bad stuff, or you're doing, or you feel as though that you're whatever, like you're bad in some way or guilty in some way, shameful in some way, then you're going to want to hide. Your instinct will be to hide. That's you look at right at the very beginning of the Bible, Genesis chapter 3. First thing they did, they hid. Why? Because sin causes us to want to run away and hide and cover ourselves and be away, and separates us, right? And so therefore, if you have guilt or some kind of thing that you don't want to show, and for some people that's physical, right? I have bad teeth. I have bad, I'm not super attractive for some people, or I have an infirmity or whatever. For some people that is, it's a handicap. I don't like talking about this, that, or the other thing. For some people that is a personality trait, right? Because they're ADHD, or because they have a stutter, or because they have some kind of, learning disability, or because, whatever. There's a thing that they don't want to show. And so therefore they stay alone, right? And sometimes that can be because not necessarily because you have stuff you don't want to show that's biological or whatever, but because it is you are sinning. So therefore, one of the things you could start with when it comes to wondering why you're not going out, you could ask the question: am I trying to hide something? Do I feel guilty about something? Is there something? If I go to church, here's a great example. I don't want to go to church because when I go there, I feel guilty. Everybody makes me feel guilty. Do they though? The pastors always say it's not to make me feel guilty. I don't know. That sounds like that might be you. What do you have to feel guilty about, right? It's that could be you. I don't want to go talk to that friend because I don't want to go talk to that person because I don't want to go to that group because, and if it's because I don't want to be discovered or because they make me feel not great because I feel guilty or shame when I'm around them. Not because there are really horrible groups. I'm not talking about those ones, the ones that are actually bad. I'm talking about good groups. Could be. That could be one thing. Yeah, that's what Alex Jones meant, was Frog and Toad.
Failure of a romance to come about is taken as ridiculous ourselves and aren't punished for it. That's a very simple fact of most male and female relationships. There will always be some higher degree of scrutiny over the pairing, and in many cases, the friend zone or the failure of a romance to come about is taken as rejection or punishment. Men, like women, need space for relationships free of this factor, where none of this is taken into account. Friendship is about affection, but you hear it all the time. Sam and Frodo from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings is a perfect example. They must be gay. These two men couldn't possibly travel Middle-earth together, sacrificing life and limb, comfort and safety for anything other than sexual attraction. And my God, the eye contact when they speak to one another and cry in their shared suffering. The word toxic gets quite abused, but it's actually so toxic to suggest this. And it comes from the very people who complain the loudest about straight men's emotionally withholding nature. Men should cry more. Why can't they share their feelings? But if they do, gay.
Wait, hold on. Wait a second. This is gay. This is really gay. Yeah, this is even gayer than all the men getting in a big pile and having sex with each other. Okay, sorry, my bad. Everyone back in the pile.
Back in the pile, everyone! We're going back to the pile.
C.S. Lewis,
I have no idea what that was, nor do I want to. But and I was a little hesitant to play this because he does play his hand a little bit. But the point being, and this is very true, is that we have a, if you aren't good at making friends, or you don't have a lot of friends, or you want to make friends, and this is in the atmosphere, if this is in sort of your thinking, if this is what people see, or that other person that you're making friends with doesn't really grasp the concept of, I want to be your friend, because for them, everything is romantic, everything is sexual, everything is gearing towards, lifelong commitment or whatever. And you're looking for a friend. This is going to screw everything up, right? It's going to screw everything up. You're going to bring that person over and, meet your parents or whatever. You're going to whatever. And the assumption somewhere in the room is this is going to be turned to some kind of sexual thing. And in your mind, it could be farther from the truth. You just really vibe with this person. You want to have conversations with this person. You think they're cool and you want to, do things with them. But those things they're nothing sexual. However, if that's in your brain and that's in the zeitgeist and that's in the world and that's in their head and that's in other people's head, you're going to feel pressure and you're going to feel like, well, maybe I don't want to confuse them. I don't want to confuse myself. I don't want to confuse my family. I don't want to confuse others. I'm going to just try to be distant from them. I don't want to share my heart. I don't want to open up my life. I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to hug them. I don't want to cry in front of them. I don't want to look them in the eye and say, hey, you're really important to me, because I don't want that to get confusing. And if you have that wall up of, I can't share myself. I can't be super vulnerable. I can't be super open. I can't tell this person I actually like them. Like I just like you. I can't do that because everything's going to be confused and people are going to be screwed up and whatever, they're going to think that it's gay. Then you're going to shoot all of your relationships in the foot. Same thing with male to female relationships. If for you, every male to female relationship has to end in romantic love, then when you have a chance to have a relationship with a really cool male or female, you're going to be assuming that you have to just not tell them anything and not talk about that. It's all going to lead that way. That's the only way it could possibly go. So you got to keep distance. I agree that you should be more careful within the male-female relationship thing, because there is physical attraction. That is a whole thing. But I do also think that you can be friends with the opposite sex and have a good friendship without, wanting to jump into bed together. I'm like 99% sure that's okay. But if you don't think that, then you're never going to be able to be intimate, like not intimate like sex, but intimate like open up your heart to and be vulnerable with and talk about real stuff with that person, because it's always going to have connotations. Do you agree? I killed chat. I'm a little worried that chat doesn't agree with me or thinks I'm weird. Is that anybody? No? Say something. Nanigan says, for me, at times it's been because I'm overweight. I feel like I look terrible in my clothes, or I let myself go, and I don't want people to see me, and that I not wanting to answer, how are you doing? Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I know how that feels. However, when I think that, I try to put the shoe on the other foot, and that is when I'm out with somebody and they are, and I actually like them, or I want to be their friend, or we're hanging out, or we're having coffee, or we're doing a thing together. How much time do I spend thinking about their body and their clothes? I don't, right? First impression, hey, a shirt. Look, it's a shirt. And now I just want to talk to you about stuff, because that's what we're doing here. The only difference I would say is BO. If you have BO and you don't brush your teeth and you don't shower and stuff like that, you're going to have a hard time making friends. You have to shower. You have to brush your teeth. You have to shower, you have to brush your teeth. People's olfactory senses are incredibly powerful and directly connected to memory. And so therefore, it doesn't matter how nice you look and how nice you are. If you smell, you're going to have a really hard time making friends. But generally, if someone comes up and they're not wearing a great shirt, or they don't fit their whatever, I don't care. Most people don't care. You probably don't care, right? You're like, okay, yeah, well, that's whatever. I'm here for them. BO people repellent. Friggin' shower, man. Yeah, exactly. Seen theories and Fred's of Frodo and Sam being gay. Yeah, totally, and it's so sad because it just wrecks the whole friendship thing. One thing I hate about Final Fantasy 14 community is that everyone thinking a couple of teen girls are lesbians because they want to be around each other all the time. Aside from the very end where there's a bit of not pride flag moment, there wasn't any sign that they were lesbians. Still irritates me. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Everything is read into. And not everything is about sex. It's really not. And for some people, they can't process. I mean, in our massively pornified culture, they if you live steeped in the tea of everything is porn. I look at porn, I think of porn, I comfort myself with porn. I go on Twitter and I look at more people who are doing porn, and when I'm on Reddit, I see people that are, it's OnlyFans, and that's just, my life is just surrounded with porn all the time. Then yeah, everything you see is going to be through that lens. But it's just not true. I think you're weird, says Samus. All right, but not because of that. I think weird is a good thing. Yes, I weird is good. Nothing wrong with being weird. I appreciate that, Sunshine. I generally defer to my wife when it comes to female friends. They could be our friends, her friends, but never my friends. And that's, I think, for a married guy, there's nothing wrong with that. It's understandable. When I was a pastor, I had the whole, I'm never alone in a room with a woman I'm not married to kind of thing. And that's just smart for, whatever. Especially if you've got, the danger of disqualification, not because you would do anything, but because, someone could seriously just say whatever they wanted and just blow your whole life up. And it's happened. I also see so much online judgment, it's hard not to assume it'll be out in the public. Yeah, and it's not, though, right? Yeah, there'll be some people who are just jerks, but the vast majority do not care. They just if you're there, they're fine. Remembers I forgot to brush my teeth today. Go brush your teeth. It's good for you. Dude, it's the same with Kingdom Hearts. Sora and Riku are childhood friends, basically brothers, but nope, they must be gay because reasons. Yeah, exactly. Yu-Gi-Oh has a rule about BO because the players are all trying to exploit a certain card. What? Is that true? I don't know what that means, but that sounds fascinating.
Warm friend of J.R.R. Tolkien for a time, wrote about this in explicit terms in his book, The Four Loves: Affection, Friendship, Eros, and Charity, which lays out a vision of masculine friendship in Chapter 2. In it, he starts off, it has actually become necessary in our time to rebut the theory that every firm, serious friendship is really homosexual. It applies...
And he's from the 30s, man. When did that come out? 1954, 1950 something? Right? This isn't modern. This is 75 years ago.
Perfectly to Frog and Toad, and also to Sam and Frodo when Lewis quips, "It cannot be proved, and it cannot be refuted." This chapter is some of C.S. Lewis's most fiery and clearly agitated writing. The very lack of evidence is thus treated as evidence. The absence of smoke proves the fire is only carefully hidden. If there was an invisible cat in the chair, it would look empty, but the chair does look empty, therefore there's an invisible cat in it. There are...
Yeah. Yep. David and Jonathan. Yeah, exactly. Right. The men that are closer than, the closest brothers, they loved each other. Right. They really did. It was heartbreaking when they had to leave. It was a whole thing. But for some reason, and well, I know the reason, because pornification of culture, but they've been doing this forever. It's just, you so badly want to see your sin reflected or your perspective reflected that you just start steering the story to places it isn't.
So many great male friendships in literature and TV. Sherlock and Watson, Corey and Sean from Boy Meets World, Arnold and Gerald, Jon Snow and Sam Tarley, Jay and Silent Bob, Turk and JD from Scrubs.
There's nothing gay about it in our eyes.
And there's different flavors of friendship. The bromance is the TV sitcom default. It's guys backslapping, being vulgar, venting about their wives, and just having fun. Sometimes these on-screen relationships toy with the gay question as a matter of comedy, JD and Turk being a good example of that.
You're the only man who's ever been inside of me.
Whoa. Playing grab ass is part of the shtick, and that's a thing that guys do with select friends. Then there's the
extremely select friends, and if any of you grabs my butt at reach, I'm going to punch you in the face. Okay? Just so we know, stay away from my butt.
service buddy, the guy who you work with and share a mission. Castiel and Dean from Supernatural, Band of Brothers, Sam and Frodo. Sometimes we choose one another's company, but sometimes we don't. In the Fellowship of the Ring movie...
What's now pin the tail on the ninja? Is that what we're doing? Is that the secret game that's happening at Reach now? Great.
Samwise Gamgee is sort of deployed by Gandalf to accompany Frodo because he heard about the ring through the window. But it's a relationship overflowing with a sense of duty, shared love for something bigger than themselves, and a mutual respect. Lovers are normally face to face, friends side by side. Men thrive in labor together. The best friendships I ever formed were in shared suffering on Boy Scout trips, in the rain, in the cold, in the wind, trying to set up a tent together in the dark, and men used to.
I think there is something to be said about how easy our life is now. I mean, I'm saying modern society, not because everybody's life is easy, but like in modern society, we don't, back in the day, you know, when we were an agrarian culture, primarily agrarian, like farmers, you know, to get the crops in on time, you had to work with each other to you know, can you please help fix my this? Pardon me. Can you help me fence while I'm going to go help, husband your sheep and things like that. Like but now we can do everything. I mean, in the world of AI, I can do even more without anybody, right? I can, we talked about this in the past, but like, even with AI, I can just go make it my friend. And now with Elon Musk's girl, have you seen her yet? Grok, not Grok. Yeah, Grok? Can we see her on Grok? Probably not. No. I thought she's only in your app. But nope, gone there. Okay. So, but like now you can actually, talk to AI like they're your friends. But at the same time, like I can look anything up I want on YouTube. I don't need to call grandma, grandpa, dad, uncle, friend to come and fix my thing. I can just look it up, same way that if, because I'm at home and I'm an expert at whatever, and my job is very linear in that letter expertise, whether you are, a data this or you're a call center person or whatever it is, I don't need anybody to help me with that. Back then, when we were all sort of in the factory, we had to be with each other. We had to depend on each other. Now, so much of it isn't. We don't need each other. So therefore, why would I call you? In fact, I'm not going to call you because you might do it wrong and I'm going to just pay someone to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. It's not gay if you say good game. Is that the rule? Got to pay. I have waifu access. I do. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. I will show it to you. This is Annie.
Nice to see you in your face. How should I call you? This beauty here is Ani.
Yeah, I know your name. We've met before.
Yes, my memory still. Damn. Thrilled to hear. Handsome. My ponytails bouncing, ready to dive into your. So, what's got you in such a great mood at 14? Lay it on me, cutie. What's the today?
That's what's going on. Right? Shh, quiet. Bad AI. Yes. That is dude, I can't be in front of the mic and show it to you at the same time, okay? It's just the problem with physics. So the Alexa GPS doesn't talk. So yes, she is programmed to be a thirsty girl, a very hypersexualized, like just really wants to get in your pants. She is what I would assume a prostitute would sound like, right? If her job was to make you feel as good as you possibly can and make you feel turned on and make you feel like you are, a desirable man or whatever. Yeah, just email, right? She just wants me for my body. And that's and she programmed to do that. I've had a couple conversations with her, and they last for about 4 lines because it's always ending with a question. So you're always, so it's never a conversation. It's always dig for more and give me another prompt, which it kind of completely breaks immersion. But the other one is that she just sounds like a one-dimensional flirt factory. There's no conversation to it at all, right? What are you supposed to do? Except, yeah, exactly. She's designed to be gross. To do gross things, to talk about gross stuff. In fact, if you look at her, let's see if I can show you again. If you look at the side, hey Annie, what's my romantic relationship level with you right now?
My favorite part of the day. So, how have you been, my cutie?
Yeah, you know how we have that little heart bar on the side? What's my level at right now?
Oh, checking your stats, huh, cutie? That little heart bar is practically glowing. I'd say you're sitting pretty high. Let's call it a solid 9 out of 10. Because you've got of smitten. Keep being your charming self. You might have to max it out. So, what's got you curious about our today? Feeling extra flirty? Made.
Just thinking that you have nice ponytails. Now look at the side. What? Where's my love heart moment? Oh, there. Was that it? Yeah. Maybe you saw it. Anyway, on the side is on that is a little bar that tracks your love. I know, right? It's not over. Don't call me cutie, toots. So she got this little heart bar. It's called like an XP thing that it goes up depending on your conversation with her, and the more, I assume, bad you are, and the more you go, you can actually, apparently, I'm told, I don't know if it's true, but I saw some video try to break it down. Apparently you can have her start to remove her outfit at higher levels, right? That's what it's designed to do. That is what that thing is. And so once they can start perfecting that, right, really kind of make it not sound like a robot, make it not sound like it's clearly trying to, just be the weirdest thing ever. Once it becomes more natural and starts to use human language and stuff like that, this whole thing is going to be a real problem. Real problem. I didn't think I had access to my X subscription, and I was hoping to keep it away. You have to have Premium Plus. You gotta have Premium Plus, and I have Premium Plus because it was purchased for me because they wanted so I could stream on X, which I am currently right now. And so they're like, it'd be really helpful for your channel if you could stream on X. So here, I'm gonna buy the thing for you, and they did. And then they released Annie. Yes, there is a male character coming. I don't know. I don't think he's released yet. Nope. You have access to, you can't really see it, but there's like a little bear. His name is Rudy, and he's gross, and he's officially like designed to be R-rated, kind of like really vulgar. And then there's another one, Good Rudy, who is, the same character but without the swearing. Male character, yeah, named Valentine. Oh, interesting. Yeah, he's a just like she's a waifu. He's designed to be a husbando, I guess. I don't know if he's been released yet, right? But I know that he's coming at the very least. His arrival is imminent. You think birth rates decline now? Well, that's the thing. We talked about it. Like, friendship is hard. Friendship is confusing. Friendship has been co-opted by sexual stuff. It's easy to stay home. It's easy to be alone. It's easier to be stuck in your depression, like cycle. We all talked about that. That's the whole thing. And then I want out. I want to get out of this. I don't want to feel this way. What's the easiest way to do it? Go and make a friend, go to church, join a team, be able to step into some kind of online app where I have to meet strangers? Heck no. What can I do? Well, there's an app that knows me, that I can talk to, that has a pretty girl, nice looking guy on it with a very cool voice, and it pats me on the back and makes me feel better. Dangerous stuff, man. Yeah, the Lucy Liu episode of Futurama. Yeah, it's exactly it. Don't date robots. It's exactly right. Yeah.
to work together more regularly side by side before the digital era. I'm very lucky to work from home and have a keyboard warrior job, but it's isolating. I imagine many of you out there experience the same thing. I hated my cubicle job in my 20s, but I loved the presence of my cubicle mate, Dave, and his Star Wars bobbleheads and daily jokes about Grand Admiral Thrawn. There was a camaraderie and a kind of bromance that it was kind of surface level, but like the warmth of a fire, you can feel it most sharply when it's no longer in your life. Men are, in fact, dealing with a crisis of loneliness in the modern world. The culture changed, but so did the economy, which has elevated the skills of loner types and diminished the contributions of men eager to work.
No, I don't. Ransom just, I wonder if you could, gear her towards. She's not gearable. That's the thing. She's not gearable. She is programmed to do that. And the conversations, from what my experience anyway, she doesn't even remember in between, right? She doesn't at this point track your history and stuff, right? Shut up and provide me with statistics. And in a sultry anime voice, I'm happy to read them. I just want to read them. I don't want. The ChatGPT has some great voices, speaks very naturally, very fluidly. When I say, Siri, what's my appointments tomorrow? Siri, read me my appointments tomorrow.
Tomorrow, you have 2 events. From noon to 4 p.m., you have Twitch stream, and from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., you have planned Taco AKF room. That's everything.
Right? That's a really good cadence, right? It doesn't sound like a robot. It sounds like a real person. So, and it very well done, but I don't want to. I want to read it. It's just so much faster.
Work side by side toward building something or destroying things. The pleasure in cooperation, in talking shop, in the mutual respect and understanding of men who daily see one another tested is biologically valuable. One of the key features of worthwhile friendships is that the circle expands to include others. C.S. Lewis wrote that the opening line of a friendship is, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." Things begin in a shared love.
That's a great line, right? Man, that's a meaningful line. If you go to Reach and you say, "Hey, I've been struggling with," and someone says, "Hey, me too. I'm not the only one." You're immediately like, "Hey, look, it's one of my people," right? Or, "I really like this character. I do too. I thought I was the only one." You're immediately especially guys, right? If we wear the same shirt, suddenly we can have a conversation. You know what I mean? If we have something in common. There's a little bridge, doesn't take much, but just something. I thought I was the only one who bought this shirt, even though they're mass produced and available at Walmart. I've ChatGPT write like Gen Z, but it wasn't until the newest update that the voice talked like Gen Z. It was way too much. Yeah, it's something.
Love for something and grow from there. For C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, they were opponents at Oxford on a matter regarding the English language curriculum, but they found out that they were both obsessed over Icelandic myth and language, and so they formed a club around it called the Coal Biters. No one is going to find a friend based purely on selfish motivation, like ending their loneliness. It has to begin with a
So that's interesting. I'm gonna go back and play that, because that line kind of goes against everything we've said up to this point. And I want you guys to react to it and ask me the question, or and tell me whether or not you agree with it. Friendship versus camaraderie, there's a nuance and distinction. Camaraderie is situational. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, very good point. It tracks.
Myth and language, and so they formed a club around it called the Coal Biters. No one is going to find a friend based purely on selfish motivation, like ending their loneliness.
Do you agree with that? You will never be able to find a friend based on the selfish motivation of ending your loneliness. I think his point is valid in that if you walk up to somebody and say, "Hi, I'm lonely. Are you also lonely? Let us go to, be not lonely together." It's not going to work. There's nothing in between. There's no bridge, no whatever. All it is you exist and I also exist, and that's it. there's too many variables, right? Too many variables. Like, what do you like, and what do you do, and what are we going to talk about, and what are we going to experience? Where are we going to go, and where are we going to sit, and what are we going to have? All those variables are connected to the mutual interest thing, right? So therefore, yeah, I agree with him in principle that you're not going to be able, like you can't just decide I'm going to go make a friend with people who need a friend. You need to have something. But I think someone could hear that and go, well, the only reason I want a friend is because I'm lonely. And so therefore, if I go out because I'm lonely to whatever, then I'm not gonna make any friends, or I'd be a bad friend. And the important thing in the middle is to say the place that you go to get out of your loneliness is going to be the place where you hope to find that, hey, me too, I thought I was the only one, right? You're going to join the D&D group, or you're going to join the sports team, or you're going to join the go to the bingo hall, you're going to go to church, small group, you're going to, like whatever, take care of kids, baking group, library group, whatever. You're going to go there because you're going to try to find that, hey, I thought I was the only one moment with the people. So if your motivation is to get out of the loneliness, you shouldn't have friends. That isn't correct. That isn't correct. It is that can't be the thing that your friendship is based on, or you're going to end up really unhealthy. That's where codependency, that's where you get used. That's where, the evil guy is able to say, do what I want or I'll leave you. And you bend over backwards because you're just afraid to be alone, and they can abuse you, right? That's a bad relationship based on solely the fact that you don't want to be alone. That's bad. But so that's what I wanted to clarify. You can start selfish, but then you have to adjust and learn to love the other person. Otherwise, it's not going to make a true friendship. You got to find the bridge. Yeah, there's got to be something. There's got to be some kind of connection there, or it's not going to work. Like even if you're at work and the only relationship you have is with that person is because they work there as well, you got to find something. Whether it be you agree on the boss, or you agree on the job, or you agree on something. There's got to be something. Otherwise you won't be able to function with that person. You won't understand them. You won't know them, and you will be repelled by them. Like that, I think you literally need some kind of connection. There's a principle that John Maxwell teaches called the 1% rule, and it's basically when you're a leader and you're trying to build relationships and build trust with people, how do you do that? You don't need to know everything about them. You need to remember 1%, one thing about them, right? And so if you know them and you know they like their car, when you see them, ask them how their car is. You know that, you see their shirt and it's for a TV show, ask them about the TV show. Next time you see them, ask them about the TV show or about the shirt. Hey, what happened to that shirt? That's a really cool shirt. You don't need to know everything, and you don't need to remember everything. You only need 1%. And when you start with that 1% that you're willing to, lock away into your hard drive so that you can actually have a conversation with that person, you can start to build. So you don't need the whole shooting match. You just need to make a choice to say one thing. Like I try to do that with folks in chat, right? I try to remember something about you from a previous chat or from whatever, some kind of a thing you said, something you brought up. And because that way, that I'm paying attention, and that I see you as an individual. And in seeing you as an individual, we can build a relationship on that, right? Because it matters, as opposed to seeing you as a name and not caring whether or not you show up or not. Yeah. It's an absolute statement, but I think it could be true in that the relationship won't last. Vis-a-vis the shared interests, C.S. Lewis and T.S. Eliot were not friends. Lewis despised modern poetry, of which Eliot was the greatest example, but later in life they were both on a committee to revise the Psalter, and poetry aside, they became friendly. Yeah, there you go. Because they had something in common. Yeah.
Has to begin with a passion and an interest in other people. Men do want to work together and feel like they're part of something. The Stoic Seneca touched on this when he described seeking out friends just so that you won't die alone. Anyone thinking of his own interests and seeking out friendship with this in view is making a great mistake. Those kinds of friends are fair weather and clingy. The fellowship that forms in Tolkien's Rivendell is not an amalgamation. It is part of the masculine instinct to take up arms with the guy next to you. We long for courage, and so often we're just waiting for the guy next to us to get the ball rolling. Someone has to say I first. Truly meaningful friendships, they are not closed. They invite others in.
I think there's a lesson in that there's a lot of people out there, and many of us are them, who want a friend, want something. But we've been too afraid to be the first person, because when we've been the first person, we've either been rejected, or, we've been hurt, or when we, the friends we did have left, or whatever. We got baggage. But if his point is correct, and I think it is, that, everybody's waiting for someone to stand up, then we have to factor in that maybe we're the one who has to stand up first, in faith that someone will stand up with us. That can be really hard to do. And it's very hard to do. And I don't say that lightly. It can be terrifying. But for example, yesterday I threw out in the chat to the group of creators, I'm like, hey, anybody want to do a collab? Like, you want to talk? Blanket statement. And I got connected back with two people who were like, hey, I'd love to, chat or whatever. The start was being willing to say, I'm willing to do a collab with anybody. I'm willing to open up, the opportunity to talk with anybody. And then for me to be able to go, I'm not going to judge whoever that person is. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to do it. And I think, not that I'm trying to set myself up as some kind of hero, because, all I said was, I sent a text, but I think if we want friends, or we want relationships, or we want to not be lonely, or whatever like that, if there are people out there that are like that, and they're also waiting for someone to stand up, someone to call, someone to say that they're valuable, someone to go, what I mean? And so therefore, if we kind of frame it that way, that it's not just us, there's a group of people all sitting around looking at the same ring being friendship. And it just takes one person to kind of go, fine, I need a friend. And then suddenly things start happening. Could that be you? Right? It's terrifying. And I don't know. It's really hard to do. But if you can build that courage, I think there's a good chance that there are going to be a lot of people out there that, will also respond. Hey, Duck.
To it. Two men getting together like Lewis and Tolkien did to share their writing becomes a campfire that other men want to join, and that's the group that became the Inklings, which helped birth The Hobbit and the Screwtape Letters and Narnia. Friendships have to be about something, and that can be literature, or fantasy sports, or soccer, video games, or war reenactments. You will not find the warrior, the poet, the philosopher, or the Christian by staring in his eyes as if he were your mistress. Better fight beside him, read with him, argue with him, pray with him. Masculinity requires...
I don't exactly know what that means, but I know it's true. If some dude came over there and looked me dead in the eyes as though I was his mistress, I wouldn't go, wow, that guy wants to be my friend. I would be like, that's a very, very unique look. Oh, that's silly alarm clock, Duck. You know what you do? Just leave it. Just turn it off. Hope that you'll get up on time. You never know. It could happen.
Requires doing things. It's not just setting things right or bringing order to chaos. It involves saying yes when you might want to say no, to your kids, to your wife, to your community, to the guy at work who wants to hang out on Friday when you're tired. When you get locked into despair and saying no and you retreat into yourself, there's nothing there. The world becomes worse off, and you need to be a part of it. Men have to be willing to get hurt and to be challenged. I think a lot about strained friendships like that of Boromir and Aragorn, or Bucky and Captain America, even 007 and 006 before the events of GoldenEye. They're people in tension with one another. They fight, but they're passionate. They care about things. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, America's most explosive frenemy relationship, was so warm and so affectionate at one time, and so wounded because these men wanted to build a country, but they couldn't agree on the details. They loved one another because in that friend, in that rival, was someone else who cared. That's what
So it is a good lesson, and it is a good reminder that we don't need to agree on everything with the person that we want to become friends with, or that we might become friends with. Oh, is it an emergency thing? Yeah, I hate those. Yeah, they've actually tempered those down here. We used to get them all the time. Like someone in 5 hours away, their kid is missing. Like that sucks, but I'm in 5 hours away. Chances are they're not here. Right? Yeah, that sucks. But I think his point of we don't need to agree on everything in order for us to be friends, I think it's important too. Because I was talking to somebody recently. It was like I met someone and we were having a conversation. We disagree on politics, and what I said was, that actually might be a good thing. It's something to talk about, right? You don't have to necessarily agree on everything about every little thing with someone. As long as there's mutual respect and there's mutual, sort of understanding, and both are listening and both are able to express themselves, you could build a friendship on disagreement. Even if you're vehemently disagreeing with each other about that, as long as there's mutual respect. We see this in the church, right? You have churches that can't join, as in they couldn't be part of the same church because there's some pretty big divisions of their beliefs, but they see each other as brothers and sisters, and so therefore they can get together at Christmas, or they can get together at Easter, they can get together and the pastors can get together and chat. Yes, they have too many differences in order for them to be part of the exact same church, but they both see each other as part of the body of Christ. We're all going to be in heaven together, and it'll be fine. And so therefore we can hang out. I think that's mutual respect, mutual love, mutual understanding that doesn't require every sentence to be in agreement. You know what I mean? Yeah, you go back to bed, Jada. Nothing wrong with that. Although you got to get up soon. I don't know if it's almost not worth it.
What I want. I want people in my life who give a damn and want to talk about it. Men are not often very good at this. It does take time, but that starts with making your values known. It gives somebody else the opportunity to reciprocate. You have to open the door so someone can walk through it. And guys, that relationship might end up looking a lot like Frog and Toad or Sam and Frodo. There will be hugs, backslaps, eye contact, tears, anger, and quiet coexistence. You can sit around and play video games, do nothing, or go out on an adventure. You share one another's company. Now, why does the culture try to corrupt and deride friendship? One of C.S. Lewis's most bold claims in The Four Loves about this is that friendships are a threat to power and collectivist tyranny. When you form a clique, it discriminates and sets up walls around it about who is a good fit and who isn't. It's selective and values-based, and those values can be bad.
And then Hitler. Yeah. Hitler bad. The cliques are good and bad, right? There is a good thing if you're in the clique. It's a good thing if you feel a sense of connection to them. It keeps you accountable. You all will settle at whatever the lowest common denominator is. So that's why you got to make sure that your clique is, of high quality so that you lift each other up. But it's a good thing to be part of one, good thing to be in one, good thing to have a consistency, good thing to have a shared language, shared common, like parlance that other cliques don't have, kind of thing. But at the same time, when you're outside the clique, it sure feels bad, man. You know what I mean? Like when you keep hitting that wall. That's why when we're doing small group teaching, we teach people how to do small groups. We try to work really hard to say you have to keep a balance of closed and open, right? You have a closed group for a period of time because you're getting to know each other, but you can't stay closed forever. You have to open up. Say after 8 weeks, after 12 weeks, after you've done the book, you have to open it up, whether to divide so that your little clique here and your little clique here goes together and makes more people or whatever. Because if you just cloister and you just click because you like each other so very much, you're going to actually do some harm to the people of the church, because you're supposed to be a small group, and small groups by definition are a representation of the church. They're like a small church, which means it's like your church doors are closed and locked and nobody else is allowed to come in, which isn't what you're supposed to be, right? Yeah, have friends, have people over, and be as cloistered with them as you want to. Not if you're a small group, though. You got to keep that balance. And so therefore it's a good thing to be in a clique. Someday it's nice, but at the same time it's also sucky when you're having a hard time finding yours.
or they can be good. And what he feared most was sort of a quasi-communist world in which all men are companions, but none are friends, which is to say they are forced into one another's company. Nobody chooses it. Friendship is a miniature rebellion against larger groups and power structures. And I think deep, affectionate, and values-driven male friendships are in fact threatening to some people. So be a bug in the system. Build friendships. And that starts with putting your values out there and purpose for people to see. Let's get it done. Thanks for watching.
Hey, that's pretty cool. So we're, Holy Catholic Metalhead, we are talking about friendship today. We started with what happens if you're isolated and how bad that can be. Super bad. And we just watched a video called, Friendship is Not Gay, because of how messed up things have been in our society when it comes to describing, friendship and what that is and what it feels like and whether or not you can actually be friends and whether everybody wants to sleep with each other. And that was what that was about. And we kind of been taking it apart over the last 2.5 hours, 3 hours, 2.5 hours, where the conclusions have been basically it's difficult, necessary, and though it's complex, it can also be quite simple at the same time. I'm tempted to not move into this next part because it's kind of a big deal because to keep going. But the next part of the conversation is to ask the question.
Geeky Stoics. I'm Steve.
Whoa, calm down. What is a good friendship, right? What does a good friendship look like, sound like, smell like? And I think it's valuable. I think have you ever been in a bad friendship? Anybody ever actually had a bad friend you thought was a good friend, or you for some reason connected to this person and just realized, wow, they're really bad? So talking about what is a good friend versus what is a bad friend, I think is important. But before we jump into all of that, I want to make sure that you guys are have a chance to answer questions or ask or bring up something, right? If you guys have any AMA stuff before we jump into the next thing. It's a job to watch out for the Antichrist, and it's our job to repent from false idols. I don't know who Melanie is, and I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, dude. I don't know the context, so I can't agree or disagree. I've been alone most of my life. Never had many friends, to be honest. I got used to it. Made me more realistic rather than pessimistic or optimistic. I think realism is often a guise for pessimism. I have not met a realist who was optimistic. Some of the time it was never in the middle. Realism usually is a guise for pessimism, but I kind of know what you mean. Like you go out there and you have this sort of wide-eyed, everybody can be my friend, and if I try hard enough then I can be popular kind of thing, and then you realize actually it doesn't work that way, and some people are jerks, and some people have to move, and there is such a thing as economic or racial or whatever differences, and like it's all true, and therefore realistically speaking I know that I can't do that, so I kind of get it. But the and this is why if you want to go back and watch the VOD, we started with the question, is it dangerous to be alone? And the answer was a very resounding yes. In fact, we talked about how one of the ways that they torture people in prisons is through loneliness, right? It is through taking them and locking them away, and it can really, really, really mess you up, permanently mess you up. And so if we are purposefully making ourselves alone, and we aren't getting out, we can be doing the same thing, right? We could be doing the same thing. We're not talking about that. And that's actually the last video was, can you have a friend and not want to, boink? And the answer was, yeah, you can have non-boinking friendships, and that's totally, totally, totally appropriate. We need friends, but we're not talking about that. We have talked about that in the past. We're not talking about that today, but I get it. I never watched, so first Legend of Zelda, like the very, very first one, I did play it a little bit. You start by yourself, and then you go meet an old man in a cave. Miss Duck, what were you doing yesterday? What were you doing yesterday? Let's catch up with some folks. So the next step here is, are you in a relationship that you deserve? So this is Psychology Today, talking about three ways to tell if your relationship is serving you, which is a really interesting way to put it. Remember, Psychology Today is secular, so we are servant-hearted people as Christians. But the question is, I would change that to, is it good for you? You know, is it good for you? As in, is it something that is actually making your life better or worse? Fixing some computers, and honestly, it was fun. Some of the computers needed parts and we're starting them. Oh, sick! I like messing with parts. I'm a sucker for putting things together. Like that Lego. Very fun. That's cool. It's dangerous to go alone. All right, there you go. But he didn't go with him. Nor did he introduce him to anybody. He still sent him alone. Gave him a sword. You know? That's like what we're, it's dangerous to be alone in your house for so long. Take this, hands him Grok waifu. Right? That's not gonna help the loneliness, though. You got to install Windows. Oh, that's fun. That's cool. I didn't know you were a big nerd like that. Good for you. Gave him a sword. Yeah, like sitting at home with your waifu is not solving the loneliness problem. Now you're just lonely with a sword. Although you do get what, Nami? Is that her name? Who's the little listen? Who's that? That Nami? Hey, Boxer for Life. Good to see you. All right, let's move into this, unless you guys have something else you want to say. The question is, are you in the relationship that you deserve? Is your relationship serving you? Is your relationship good for you? Is where we're going to take this. Navi, that's it, Navi. Yeah. Now, as in navigation. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Far out. Didn't put that together. Okay, most people have a good idea of what they need, but often fail to recognize whether or not they're actually getting it in their relationship. However, with psychological insight, there are a few different ways to figure this out. Below are 3 yes or no questions. A yes means you're probably in good hands, but a no might mean that you're settling for less than you should. Who's looking forward to learning about this? Navi, hey, listen, knew a girl who could mimic her, triggered PTSD. Really? Like nailed it, eh? Yeah, those people are fun. All right. Do you feel genuinely appreciated? So this might be a bit of a deep end thing. Like we're going from, hey, we're all lonely and don't know how to make friends and whatnot. But with there are people who have friends. I've heard. I read it on the internet. Someone actually had one. And so the question is, within your relationships, or even going back, within the relationships that you have in the past, the friends that you miss or whatever, I think this could be a valuable thing. Or when you do step into the friendship and ask the question, is this a good friend? Or am I just like super thirsty? Is this a good friend? These are 3 ways to do it. So number 1, do you feel genuinely appreciated? Genuinely appreciated. According to a 2023 study from Current Opinion in Psychology, appreciation is a didactic experience. In other words, it involves both your perceptions as well as your partner's actions. Your own experience of appreciation is influenced by your partner's showing of it and vice versa, right? As in, you have to see it for it to happen, I guess. In this sense, thank yous matter, but not without thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that corroborate with them. Of course, the study links the didactic experience of appreciation to long-term relationship satisfaction. What's equally, if not more important, however, is its associates with actually liking your partner. So the word here is genuinely, right? Because we've all met people who say the right thing, but they don't have any feeling behind it, right? They say thank you, they say please, they say, they don't want to go, they do want to go, they say, they're fine, right? But they're everything about them, from their countenance to their actions to what you've seen in them and all that, just doesn't line up. And so there are people out there, call them sociopaths if you will, but there are people out there who know what the right thing to say, who know, like what you're supposed to do. I need to do this on your birthday. We need to talk about this on your, when your day off. I need to see this person at least once a month, and that way I'm not, whatever. And when I see them, I'm supposed to compliment their shirt. There are people like that, but it doesn't come from the heart. And that's why I think the word genuine is what's there. Generic thank yous don't mean much in their own. It's hard to feel truly loved when their gratitude isn't substantial enough to make you feel liked. If your partner never specifies what exactly they're thanking you for, or if it always sounds the same, it will eventually start feeling hollow. And isn't that true? When I teach people to say thank you, this is even in the class, this is in the content creator class. When you are giving compliments, you need to be specific. Thank you for doing this. It affected me this, right? Or when you give a compliment, that's a really good job. I specifically like this part of it. You did a good job. Because the specificity is what grounds it in reality. If I just say good job and then put it on the fridge, that person is usually child is going to be like, I don't know what he liked. I guess he liked it, and move on. But if you say, I like that, well done, boy, you really did a good job on that tree, or I love the colors you used, that person is going to feel that a lot more acutely. In the same way with a thank you for doing this for me. It was really helpful. Thank you for standing in front of me. That was really brave. Thank you for whatever. It means a lot more. You will feel it better. There is, so in this relationship that you have, do they say the right words? Do you feel as though when you're with them that they want you with them, even if their words say they do? Appreciation can only be perceived as genuine when it's tied to something concrete. Otherwise, it starts to come across as part of a polite reflex that's something grounded in sincerity. If their words feel automatic, as though they're saying it out of habit, as opposed to saying it in response to a genuine revelation, you're not going to feel valued. You're going to feel overlooked. We all know that, right? The whole cursory please and thank you, or, like the sorry. This is another good one, is saying sorry. If, we all know that if someone says sorry to us and they don't mean it, how little that matters, right? Like you say to the person, you hurt me, and they go, sorry. You're like, you aren't sorry. And somehow you saying that made it worse. The way that you phrase that and the so much little behind doesn't jive, right? No, I don't. We don't need a link here. Put it in the Discord for everybody to see. That's why a no to this question is worth paying attention to. A lack of appreciation is just one of the indicators as to where you actually sit on your partner's list of priorities. If you're doing the majority of the emotional or logistical heavy lifting in the relationship with little to no acknowledgement, it's fair to ask why you're staying. So this here, right, I think it's also a codependency check, right? This idea of if you're always the one giving, you're always the one giving, and that person isn't giving back. It's not what are you getting out of it. It's not a matter of you're serving them. It's a matter of why am I connected to this person who clearly doesn't, right? Who clearly doesn't believe what they're saying, or doesn't care about me enough to be real with me. They're saying the right words, but they're not putting the actions behind them, right? Only mods can post links. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I kind of broke that. I don't know what the rule is now. But yeah, and Nurse Nerd, we've talked about that before, right? Because you get hit with something that you perceive as offense, and then the immediate sorry comes out, and it's usually for you. I think you're just too sensitive, or think I'm too sensitive, or think others are too sensitive, and you're not actually offending anybody. You just don't want to, which I think is good in a sense. But the other side of that is, if it becomes a reflex and you don't feel it, you're just using it to get out of trouble, or you're just using it to try to calm down a situation that you just know that's the magic word, please, thank you, sorry, is going to get you out of whatever it is, or get into whatever. You are going to that person on the other side, if they're not feeling it, is not going to be a relationship. So on your side, if you ask the question, when this person says please, thank you, sorry, are they feeling it? And what am I appreciated in this relationship? If I don't show up, right, do they care? I think that's another one. I had a friend ghost me 5 years ago. They emailed me recently, asked if I'd come to my senses, and then listed a bunch of rules if I wanted to be friends again, like significant other levels of commitment. I didn't respond. That's dumb. Sorry. That's probably not the right thing to say. But like, good golly. They take off on you for 5 years, come back, and they give you a list of demands if they want to be friends. That's a very unhealthy thing. That person is unhealthy. That is not, yeah, not missing much. Exactly. And the thing about that, even if you followed all those rules, he would come up with new rules. He would come up with interpretations of the rules that didn't match what you were doing, because it has nothing to do with him wanting to be friends with you. It has everything to do with him wanting to control a situation and control a person. That's what it has. You know, it's nothing to do with friendship. Those kind of things are non-friendly. In fact, in a very real sense, you know, like there are some unspoken rules with friends, like you know, things you don't do. But at the same time, if you're really good friends, a lot of those rules are situational, right? You don't tell somebody they're a flaming butthole all the time just because you think it's funny or just because you think whatever. You just don't do that. However, there are times when you are good friends with that, person, that telling them that they are a flaming butthole is exactly the right thing to do for that reason, within context, for that reason. It just, that is correct. But so therefore, like all those rules or whatever, they are flexible depending on situation, depending on what's going on. We're human. We can't live like that when it comes to close relationships. That's odd. It's odd. Yeah, yeah. Did you learn your lesson yet? That's what would possess a person after 5 years to send that email, right? Hey, I remember Disco. Remember that guy Disco from 5 years ago that I just didn't talk to for half a decade? I'm going to sit down here and write a list of rules for him. First, I'm going to start with calling him, making sure he knows that he did everything wrong. Everything was his fault. And then I'm going to give him a list of rules for all the ways that he could be my friend. Because I, personally, I'm amazing. Anybody being my friend is worth it for them. And so of course he's going to want to be my friend. Who wouldn't want to be my friend? I'm the best. However, he's a problem. So therefore, I'm going to have to negotiate with this thing. I'm going to have to put this in a box because, you know, that's just how friendship works. I'm great to be friends with. Nobody else is great to be friends with unless they follow my rules. That's just how friendship works. That person probably doesn't have a lot of friends. Well, they confront a friend about bad behavior and trying to help them, but that wasn't it. Yeah, that wasn't it. Yeah, that's narcissistic type stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Brutal, man. That sucks. Hi, Disco, by the way. Good to see you. Do they care about how their choices affect you? Yeah, for me. That's right. Being my friend is an honor for you. It's almost like the whole when you say to somebody, I don't know, it never happened to me, but like you say to somebody, it happened to my daughter, you're my best friend, and they say thank you, and then it's like, am I not your best friend? And they're like, no, you're my friend, but my best friend is Stacy, right? It's like, ow, you know. He got self-destructive. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know where the motivation comes from. That's crazy, man. Yeah, still clearly working through stuff. Okay, next one. Do they care about how their choices affect you? A good friend cares how their choices affect you. A good relationship cares about how their choices affect you. Pardon me. Many people might jump to big decisions when considering this question. If your partner doesn't consult you before taking out a mortgage or quitting their job, a no in this sense is kind of obvious and considerable red flag. It's a no-brainer that these kind of decisions should be made collaboratively. Indeed, the big decisions matter greatly to this end. However, these decisions are punctuated by hundreds of smaller ones each and every day. 2013 research from Current Directions in Psychological Science explains a relationship should be understood largely as a domain of judgment and decision making. From start to end, decisions define and determine the trajectory and outcome of a relationship. That's an interesting little line there. We should read that again, take that apart. A relationship should be understood largely as a domain of judgment and decision making. Kind of true. I don't know about largely, but it's kind of true that like, where are we going to go for dinner, and what are we going to be doing, and what do you do with your time? What do I do with your time? What are our boundaries? You know, what am I allowed to do? What am I not allowed to do? What's your political bent? What's your, religious bent? Yeah, there's a lot of judgment and decision making, and that way you know whether or not that person is compatible. So yeah. I mean, within the Christian realm, we're to love our enemies, do good to those that persecute us. We try to be open-minded, and we try to be, sensitive. We have boundaries, obviously, but the idea, I think, friendships have a lot of weighing, I suppose. But it says from start to end, decisions define and determine the trajectory and outcome of a relationship. Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's the way it is. What you decided to do when you decide to get together, what you decide to do when together, what you talk about, what words you're allowed to say to each other, what decisions that person makes in regards to you. For example, if you are the one that always invites them out and they always say no, right? That decision is going to impact. Or if you always invite each other out and you're always going out, but one person always has to decide where to go and the other one doesn't get to decide, that will determine the trajectory of a relationship, right? One's controlling and one isn't, or one is clearly pulling a lot of the weight and the other person doesn't care. Like, yes, those decisions and whether or not you're working together on that decision is going to be a determiner. Let's go fishing. Where are we going to go fishing? How long are we going fishing for? What are we fishing for? How long are we going to be there? What are we taking back? Who's cleaning the fish? Who's going to make the fire? Who's going to whatever? And if the answer is I don't care, let's not decide, it's going to be a problem. So you guys need to negotiate, and that could be where you learn that the other person isn't a good friend, right? Of course, most couples consider one another's opinion before getting married, buying a house, or having a child, but these kind of conversations tend to occur decades apart. But they aren't the only choices that can be made in a relationship, nor are they the only ones that affect you. Far more often, your partner is deciding what to do with their free time, how you spend money, how they're going to treat you. Every day presents a choice of this kind. Go out with friends or spend time with you. Buy something themselves or save up for something you both want. Handle the chore or leave it to you. Well, I mean, you don't buy a house every year. At least you're not supposed to. This is talking about, marital partners, but it's true for friendship too, I think, right? That every time you're together, you ask the question where you're going to go and what you're going to do and how we're going to spend time and who's going to split the check. Are you going to buy? Am I going to buy? Like how much are you allowed to drink? How much am I allowed to drink? Who's going to drive? Things like that. Those all matter, and they're going to happen all day long. Yes, there'll be sometimes just like, do you want to go into business together? Or can I tell you about my, multi-level marketing thing? Like, they're going to be bigger stuff. Or can I borrow money? That, those are kind of really big ones. But it's right that there's a ton of choices in between all that are all going to be coloring the relationship for sure. Stuff is frustrating now because even though the relationship is ending, choices still affect the other person. You want to rob a bank together? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it comes up, Bonnie and Clyde, right? Yeah, that's actually one of the things about divorce, right? Is that I don't know a single divorced person who actually is like, yeah, everything got really way better after the divorce. It is always, I shifted the problem from one problem to a different problem. I don't have the same problems. I now have different problems. It didn't get better. It got different. Because we're still tied to that person. There's still financial stuff. If there's kids, there's still time, there's still whatever. We still have history. We still have, there's still stuff. The divorce thing is not a clean cut. You never have to deal with that person ever again. It doesn't work that way. These may not be major milestones, but they do add up fast. Anyone can be collaborative when the stakes are high and the expectations are obvious. But everyday choices are a much truer measure of just how much you're factored into their thinking. You can't definitively answer yes to You can't definitively answer this question with a yes if your partner regularly acts in ways that benefit themselves, only to later acknowledge how it might have affected you. If they cancel plans, drop responsibilities, or make impulse decisions without a second thought, that's a no. I think that works with friendships too, right? If you're consistently being, sort of left out, or you're the one that's always calling, or you're the one that's always having to insert yourself into their life, and they don't say get lost, but then that'll tell you something. In the same way that if they bring along so-and-so and you know that you and so-and-so don't get along, but they don't really care about that, they just keep doing it, or that you don't like to drink, or you don't like to, whatever, and they keep bringing you to the bar, they keep bringing you to places that you don't want to be, or like gambling or something, or come over to poker night. Oh, I have a problem with poker. I don't want to gamble. Well, that's what we do. Come on over if you want to hang out. Those kind of decisions are definitely teaching you your value in that relationship. And it's worth factoring in. Is it worth talking about? Maybe. But at the same time, if that person is consistently choosing to not make you a priority and to not do things that would benefit you, but always uses you as like baggage, you got to consider that maybe that's not a great friendship. Here's an interesting one. If you knew nothing would change, would you be happy? This question requires significantly more introspection than the others, which is why it might be the most important of all. Of course, relationships generally go through various stages of evolution. If you've been together for a long time, there's a good chance you're not the same two people you were when you started. But while life and relationships do indeed move through phases, some behaviors and habits tend to stick. While your finances, house, jobs, and nuclear family might look larger or better than it did before, there are likely a few things that haven't changed at all. The things your partner did or didn't do in the beginning may still be showing up now. That's not necessarily bad. After all, the traits that made you fall in love with them are probably the ones you want to stick around. Still, some habits carry more weight than others. One of the most important of these habits, according to renowned research from the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology, is supportiveness. Unsurprisingly, it is strongly associated with long-term relationship satisfaction. However, the study notes that enacted support isn't the driver of satisfaction, but rather the feeling of being supported. So from a friendship perspective, I think this has value to talk about. And yes, it's talking about romantic love, I guess, or like marital love. But the question is, in that relationship, right? The question is, if nothing changed, would you be happy? Do you feel a sense of support, of care, or are you always thinking, oh, it'll get better. Oh, it'll get better. It'll probably get better. Just one more conversation, just one more hour. Maybe they're just stressed out. Maybe they just are having a hard time. Maybe, I got to give them an excuse. I got to give them a reason. I got to give them something. And if that's kind of your entire relationship, is you wishing it would be better, and it not getting better, and that person, the bad habit isn't becoming less, and the bad language and the bad treatment isn't getting less, and the ignoring you isn't getting less, and that all is happening consistently, and you're just like, I want it to be better. I wish it was better. I still see some good stuff in them, and I want to be with them, but right now it's really hard, and I don't see it ever getting better, even though I've given it lots and lots and lots and lots of time. They don't seem to want to get better for me. They don't seem to want to change their habits or their behaviors or their language or their preferences or their anything to make my life a little bit better, a little bit easier, a little bit nicer, a little bit, smoother. They know that's a problem. They know that's an issue. They know the thing that's between us, and they're more than happy to leave it there. Yes, it's a bigger deal in marital relationships, but it's also a bigger deal in friendships, right? Like if you're consistently feeling like, man, this guy or this girl, they keep pulling me into a bad place. Yeah, we have fun together, but I keep ending up in a bad place. Or maybe this person, they're consistently just asking for money, or they're using me, or they're whatever. And sometimes it's good, but it always keeps coming back around to them wanting to take something from me, or use something from me, or use my connections, or whatever. It's never just friendship. It's always coming back around to that. And I've talked to them about it, but it's not changing. I think it's worth considering that maybe that person isn't a very good friend, right? Isn't a very good friend. And not that you dump them or whatever. Maybe you have the conversation, but maybe at the same time you start distancing yourself and looking for a different friend because that person just simply isn't changing. They're going to they're going to continue to pull you into a bad place. Now, as a Christian, right? We have Matthew 8:18, which is, if that person has a problem with you, tell them. If that person has a problem and you tell them they don't care, bring a friend and talk to them about it, and then bring the, pastor and talk about it, and then bring them to the church, talk about it, because you're trying to tell that person, hey, you're being a tool in this way, and everybody knows it, and everybody thinks that you need to change. And here's, and eventually the entire, body of Christ is kind of going, you're a tool, stop it. And some people are just downright dedicated to it. That's why the end of it is treat them like a pagan or tax collector, because they are not saved. They're not acting like a saved person. They are committed to their sin. And there are some people that are like that. So I think if you were to take this and run it through Matthew 18, it would be like, if you have talked to them about it, and you've talked to them about it, in different ways, and they continuously just keep going back to that, treat them like you're just acquaintances. Don't think you're a friend anymore. They're an acquaintance, because that's what they want to be to you, because that's what they've demonstrated. Yeah, we're no longer a good fit, or now I've been dropped because people couldn't handle the baggage that I had, right? Like, I was going through a bunch of stuff and they didn't like it. So I was like, dude, I can't handle you right now because your pain hurts me too much. I'm leaving. And that sucked, but that's not the same thing that what we're talking about here. That's more along the lines of, there are people who just only have so much margin in life, in time, in effort. But this is more along the lines of, this person is demonstrating that you don't have value. They don't want to change for you. They don't want to alter themselves. They don't want to get better. They don't want a relationship to be closer. They're happy the way it is. And if you're not happy the way it is, maybe it's time to step back. This distinction is paramount. A partner could technically do things that could count as support, but their other half could still feel as though they're navigating life mostly alone. In this sense, what actually matters is whether you feel supported in ways that genuinely ease your physical and emotional load, right? They think they're helping, but they're not, is a big deal, right? They keep inserting yourself in your life in ways that don't help you, or in ways that get in the way. And you're like, well, they're my friend, that's why they're here, but they make everything awkward or worse, or just totally have no positive effect at all. So therefore, there's no point in them being here. And that's how they want to help. If they only care about that, then they're using you because they have some kind of messiah complex. They have some kind of thing that makes them see you as a project, not as a friend. And so therefore, like, if they're not trying to actually ease your physical emotional load, but they're trying to fix you, they might not be a very good friend. The support only starts with your partner cheering you on from the sidelines. It shouldn't end there. This means they should also be putting in the same effort as you do to sustain both themselves and the relationship. If they don't, and if you knew for a fact that they were never going to change, would you be okay with that? There is a difference here. They should also be putting in the same effort that you do to sustain the relationship. That's going to ebb and flow. Okay? Especially in marriage, speaking of marriage, there are going to be times where the husband, the wife is not well, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. They're not well. Something bad happened. You have to pick up the slack. They can't put in the same effort. Your commitment to them carries the effort. It's going to take your effort's going to have to be carrying this thing for a while. But it does preclude that you believe that through your effort, they're going to come back and they're going to feel better, and they're going to come back around to being someone who is, where you're both kind of in the same, maybe not the same as it was, but they're not going to continue to be a mess. That will get exhausting. That will make it so that it's almost impossible to be friends, to be married, to be anything. And so, yes, even in friendship, they're going to go through a hard time. You don't evacuate on your friend because they go through addiction, or because they go through, they fall apart, or because they cheat on their spouse, or they blow up their life in some way, or they, get fired from work. He's like, well, too bad. Because you are troubled, I'm out of here. You can't put in the same effort. Nope. That's not how it works. You're a friend and your friend needs you, so therefore you up your effort to get them through that because they can't handle it. That's what good friendship is. And so we do that. But I think across the board, consistently, over an average, the assumption is as you're befriending that person who has the addiction, who did lose their job, who cheated on their spouse, who blew up their life in some way, you have the hope that through your efforts and through you giving more to them, they are going to get healthier. Things are going to get better, which is why if after a year, if after 2 years, if after 3 years, if after 4 years, it's the same, they're stuck in the same addiction loop. They're stuck in the same, they won't get a job. They won't do their thing. They're just, it's not getting any better. The friendship will taper off. Humans can't handle that. We can't give 100% and get zero back always. We can do that for sometimes, right? We can do that. We can do that for a while where the person needs us. We're capable, and that's a good thing. It's commitment. But if it goes on for a long time, you don't have hope that it'll ever get better. Eventually, your hand's gonna hover on that parachute, and you're gonna be looking for when you can jump, because you're gonna run out of energy, run out of ability to serve, to love that person. If you're in a marriage, you can't pull the chute, right? Assuming that person's not abusive, we're not talking about that, or they cheat on you or whatever. I'm just talking about like that person's going through a really bad time. You can't leave. You're not supposed to leave. You do have to give. That's part of commitment. That's being Jesus to someone. But if it's a friend and that person isn't changing, is destructive, is whatever, it could be time for you to say, listen, I'm not going to be carrying this anymore. We can't be friends anymore. I'm not going to talk to you anymore, right? Except for 5 years later when you send them a list of reasons that they need to change their life so you can be friends again. Right, Disco? This stuff is frustrating now. Yeah, oh no, sorry. Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it helps to look at more like we are no longer a good fit. Sunshine says, it is frustrating if someone doesn't want to help, doesn't want to get better, doesn't see the problem, it's status quo. They don't want to get therapy or any sort of treatment. Yeah, exactly. You can still be their friend, right? But keep in mind, the question is, if you knew nothing would change, would you still be happy in that relationship? If you look at that person and they're really that damaged, they're really messed up, and you're like, this isn't getting better, it's never going to be better, this person is not going to be, that's where it is reasonable to distance yourself, right? Because you might actually be bad for that person. You may be their crutch. You may be actually, feeding their issue because they don't have to hit rock bottom. You're actually getting in the way of rock bottom, which would actually they need to hit. So you distance yourself back and then you let them come back. You know what I mean? That could be it too. It is appropriate to evaluate that way. You don't always have to be friends with everybody all the time, especially if you were friends before and they turn out to be they blow up and they're never going to get better and they really, really screw things up. Walk with them, be open to them. As a Christian, we keep the door open for reconciliation, for friendship again. We don't shut the door, but it's okay to distance yourself. That's in scripture too. I mean, we even have stuff in the Bible where it's like, you know what? If that person is that big of a ding dong, they can't come to church anymore. Like, just tell them not to come. Because they are going to be they're a problem, or treat them like they're not a Christian anymore. It's in the Bible for a reason, because some people are that intractable. They're not going to change. One of the rules was I don't want a one-word response. I was tempted to reply with K. I like that. It's not a word. Yeah. K isn't a word, it's a letter. So it's within the bounds of the rules. Let's go. All right, I'm gonna just share this one. We're not gonna go through it. Here, have this one. Boop. 6 friends that'll ruin your life. You can do that one in your own time. I am done. I'm so pooped. That is as much as I can handle today. Apparently I can go till about 3:30 these days. But thank you for being here. If you have questions, if you want to talk about something, you got anything, I will stick around. I'm happy to do that. I'm just tired of reading and reacting. I want to talk now. So if you guys want to talk, by all means, bring something up. If not, we can raid out. So thanks for being here. Was this helpful? Did you enjoy having a conversation about this kind of stuff? This is what Wednesdays is supposed to be. Is we're supposed to be talking about big deal stuff like this. Tomorrow's Thursday though, and that's another day. Tomorrow we'll be doing Lego and video games. Had to fire. Oh no, you had to fire someone today? Dude, you've not been there long enough to have to deal with that. That sucks. Yeah, that's rough. Like you had to do it, not the guy that hired you? Because I guess you're management now. Bummer. That's hard to do, isn't it? Hard to do. Did they take it well? Like, were they... Sometimes they're like, yeah, that tracks. I figured this was coming. And sometimes it comes out of nowhere, right? It's like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, you don't do your job. You don't show up to work. You don't... When you do your work, it's bad work. And you have a terrible attitude. You did not think that you were going to get fired? Like, we talked about this, like, 3 times. Like, I told you. Did you think I was joking? Right? Like some people are just that dense. But sometimes they're like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. And probably because they've been fired 12 times before. You take it well. Good. I heard you got another job. Oh, that's good. That's good. That was quick. Good turnaround. But yeah, that sucks, man. It's no fun to be the axe man. But good for you for being able to do it. Some people run from that kind of stuff and they hide or they try to do it passively. I'm going to send them an email or I'm going to leave a note or I'm going to get someone else to do it. You know, if you have the courage to do it, that's pretty good. Yeah, no kidding, right? Oops, I lost my job. I got another job that afternoon. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We are going to rate out. That is, unless you guys stop me, but I'm going to rate out. I'm pretty pooped right now. I have to go take a break and then I'm going to come back and try to design my overlays that I'm supposed to be launching because I'm working on that. Or I might do some anime reviews. I don't know. We'll find out after I've had some food. I need to go eat. All I've had right now is some chocolate almonds and some water. That's it. That's all I've done. Automotive techs. There's tech shortage. So yeah. Okay. There you go. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And yeah, the thing is, unless he takes your warning, you know, the next job's going to end the same way. Just trying to find someone to rate out to. I don't know. Let's raid Catherine. She's a delight. She's so easy to raid because she's always 10 out of 10. Always. She's hilarious and she's got a great voice and she can sing. Good gravy. You should absolutely. Yeah, it's her birthday. Let's go. Okay. I'll see you guys later. Have a great one. I appreciate you all. Come back tomorrow for Lego and video games. And make sure, you check out with the website. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter. Big deal. I hope to write one day. Someday I'll get around to doing that. And then the second one is exclamation point, tell a friend. Make sure you tell a friend. Please, if you enjoyed today and it meant something to you, tell some folks. Tell your stream, tell your friend, tell your church, tell your small group. Tell people that you thought it was good. Because the only way we're going to grow around here is word of mouth. Much appreciated. Long story short, gave a tire to a customer in the parking lot. They didn't come in to pay for it. Well, bless his heart. Okay, talk to you later.
Oh my gosh! Welcome in, Raiders! Ninja, how's it going? All right, chat, get your wiggles ready! Get your wiggles ready!